The door behind closed, and ahead is a quiet corridor. Through the corridor lies an entirely white server room. In the empty server room, Lin Zaiasu walked with the same calm pace as the person in charge, heading toward the central control table. Below the central control table is a computer. The computer mainframe is huge, located behind the screen. Lin Zaiasu didn't look up, fully aware that at this very moment, someone above is watching him through the monitor, a higher-level manager of Nine-Headed Snake. Even this hypermission-responsible person, authorized to update data in real time, couldn't earn their complete trust. Because the content here is the entire Nine-Headed Snake team, absolutely unallowable to fail. The spy Lin Zaiasu thus directly arrived at the most classified area, approaching the most secretive hard drive. Lin Zaiasu sat in the chair, gently pressing his hands on the computer keyboard. His heavenly Tao primordial spirit instantly reached into the computer mainframe. He saw the hard drive marked with a Y. What does this mean? It means that suddenly activating it, he has the opportunity to absorb this hard drive into the secret realm space. However, he gently took a breath, refraining from recklessness, as the heavenly Tao primordial spirit delved deeper. This exploration caused his heart to skip a beat. Inside this hard drive, there was something unusual. What is it? A miniature bomb. The detonator of the bomb was the power supply. In other words, if he cuts off the power supply, the bomb will explode. Whether it will kill him is another matter, but crucially, the hard drive will definitely explode into ashes. This was the final layer of protection for this hard drive. If someone were to intrude, forcibly seizing the hard drive, the moment the line is cut, the hard drive would be physically destroyed. This built-in bomb is something even this P3 zone's responsible person doesn't know about, because this bomb was originally meant to guard against him. Such protection measures are truly defying the heavens. But since Lin Zaiasu had discovered it, the outcome is naturally very different. His hand lifted, and the computer screen suddenly flew out, heading towards the opposite wall. In the moment it flew, his hand lifted, true chi flowed into his fingers, turning into a sharp sword. The host was precisely pierced open, revealing the hard drive inside. The next moment, the hard drive power cable was severed. Once the line was severed, the bomb within was directly transmitted into his secret realm space. With a loud boom, it exploded inside the secret realm space. Being a product of space, even with the bomb's strong power, it posed no harm to him. And the hard drive, now within his secret realm space, perfectly intact. The alarm suddenly blared. Lin Zaiasu turned and left the server room. The next moment, the passage suddenly darkened. Two robots stepped out and remarkably combined into a steel door. However, in the moment before the combination was completed, Lin Zaiasu raised his hand, the sword fell, severing a motion. With a loud boom, a robot was sent flying backward. Lin Zaiasu flew out through this gap. From his activation, it had been less than 10 seconds. In the front passage, a low roar was heard. High-level genetic people were alerted. At least 4 of 5 were hidden in the P3 zone, now all activated at the same time. They are all awakeners. Instantly, human figures crisscrossed in the air. The indoor wind roared. Lin Zaiasu's figure shot like electricity towards the front passage. Halfway, someone intercepted. Lin Zaiasu executed severing separation, and for the first time, blood light appeared in the smooth passage. Executing severing a motion, genetic people blocking the front passage were directly repelled. Suddenly, a soft sound followed. The repelled genetic person's body shattered, leaving a laser grid in the void. Laser. The front passage was completely sealed by lasers. 3 awakeners from behind simultaneously rushed forward. The research center was alarmed. Countless people surrounded from all sides. Signs indicated that Lin Zaiasu, even if he broke through unimaginably challenging barriers and acquired this hard drive, still had no way to take it out. The protection here was stronger than anywhere else in the world. However, Lin Zaiasu's 5-element sword suddenly withdrew, pointing a finger toward the void in front. That finger seemed to create a crack in the void. The passage's space suddenly became bizarre and colorful. Lasers shot toward the central void crack and suddenly twisted, disappeared. With a swoosh, Lin Zaiasu passed through that crack. From all sides, absolute laser coverage not even touched the corner of his clothes. Boom! Outside, a big tree suddenly sprouted branches. Countless twigs passed through the building windows, and the clean interior instantly became a jungle. Dozens of masters prepared to confront Lin Zaiasu were astounded by this unexpected, unimaginably strange occurrence, watching helplessly as the space between them and Lin Zaiasu filled with trees. Lin Zaiasu's figure flickered, soared through the sky. His falling sword split a silhouette like an agile ape in half. He thus broke through the window. Outside, wing blade pierced the air. Lin Zaiasu stepped on the wing blade with one foot. A twig emitting strange glow wrapped around his waist, pulling back lightly. Saintess Kaian Ling floated out from the forest like countless trees, like a forest elf, landing upon the wing blade. The wing blade broke through the air and left. Countless modern weapons were aimed at the direction where the wing blade disappeared, but they only managed to aim, not to fire, because in the second after the wing blade shattered the sky, there was a sonic boom, instantly piercing the sky, at least Mach 20. The entire research institute exploded. The news immediately reached the Lord's ears, and the Lord suddenly stood up, with a completely incredulous expression on his face. You say, he stole the Y-disc and there was no explosion at all. Lord, I swear to God, there is absolutely no problem with the built-in bomb I set up. It is absolutely enough to destroy the Y-disc, and even destroy everything in this room, but there was no explosion, this is. Damn it, the Lord roared, shaking the castle he was in. The head of the research center knelt on the ground, trembling with fear. His back was completely drenched. He couldn't bear this responsibility. Not only can he not, but no one can bear it. Even the Lord can't bear it. Under extreme fear, he even forgot about another strange event, which was the peculiar way Lin Zaiasu passed through that laser wall. In the West, there is talk of ghosts and gods. Perhaps in his heart, passing through the laser passage in this way is like being a ghost or god, because it is absolutely impossible for humans to do it. Only Lin Zaiasu knew. Just now he experimented with a skill that was still under trial. That is the space law. One of his primordial spirits in the secret realm space comprehended the most was the space-time law, and although his understanding of the space law was still superficial, this superficial understanding had gained some thickness. He could open a rift in the void. This rift was terrifying, bizarre. In general, he didn't even dare to use it, because at this sensitive moment, opening a rift might release an ancient monster or a member of the Earth Core strange race. He wasn't sure if he might accidentally open a folded space. So except in his secret realm space, he didn't dare to try it outside. But today he had to try it, because this laser-form passage was completely without dead ends, and he had to escape immediately. So he tested it. The result of the test made his heart race. This rift blocked the laser. No, it didn't block it, to be precise, it twisted the space. The laser came over but couldn't reach him, and instead vanished into endless space. And he easily escaped. Of course, Saintess Kaian Ling also played a huge role. Without her assistance at the outskirts, activating her terrifying skill where trees sprung up with a single move, it really wouldn't have been easy for him to escape from countless masters attacking like madmen as if their parents had died. The two coordinated, wing blades supported, and the almost impossible task was thus completed. Even though Saintess Kaian Ling was a prodigy from 10,000 years ago, at this moment her heart was also in turmoil. Did you really get it? Their reaction was crazy enough, Lin Zaiasu said. Conversely, it proves that the thing I got is their lifeline. Perhaps we should immediately activate the wing blade and escape from Luoba State, Saintess Kaian Ling said. This is basic spy operation. Once you get something the enemy absolutely cannot afford to lose, you must retreat immediately. Otherwise, when the enemy goes crazy and counterattacks, who knows what variables might arise. But Lin Zaiasu shook his head. No matter how crazy they are helpless against us. No hurry. Take advantage of this opportunity to get two more good things. What? Wing blade. Saintess Kaian Ling's face turned red. You found the location of the remaining two wing blades. Lin Zaiasu smiled and said, when I was in Yingyu country, I set a trap for them, hoping that through their inspection of the wing blade, I could have a chance to find the location of the two wing blades they have. The Fog Heavenly King was very shrewd and broke my clever plan, launching no large-scale inspection targeting the wing blade, but used Electric Woman to effectively cut off my tracking chain. Unfortunately, she still missed a point. The person who knows the wing blade's location is also the head of this P3 zone. You're a bit terrifying, Saintess Kyan Ling exhaled long. Lin Ziasu's gaze shifted to her. Even you think so? These words had a certain profound meaning. Only he knew that inside Catherine's body was Catherine, but a prodigy from 10,000 years ago. A 10,000 years ago prodigy actually said he was a bit terrifying. Saintess Kyan Ling's response was also profound. Your cultivation may not yet be particularly high-end, but your enemy strategies, your battlefield trap digging, I think. Any enemy of yours would probably feel at the end that you're terrifying. You mentioned my enemies, Lin Ziasu said. In fact, I'm not your enemy. We will be long-term allies. Long-term allies? Are you sure? Saintess Kyan Ling's curious eyes fell on his face. I'm sure, Lin Ziasu said. Why so sure? The answer is a bit ambiguous. Do you really want to hear? Saintess Kyan Ling nodded. Want to hear? In you as me and in me as you. In this lifetime we are probably destined to be together, Lin Ziasu said. In Saintess Kyan Ling's heart, as if a stone was heavily dropped into an ancient well. In you as me and in me as you. This is the truth. She got his pleaded heavenly star tier, and she has obtained 7 pieces so far. If he's true to his word, the remaining 2 will also be hers. 9 pleaded heavenly star tiers, transforming into her key of Xuang Gate, merging into her life. In her body for ages upon ages, she would have his traces. And he ate her flower of the wood rules. As long as his true chi remains, her imprint would inevitably remain in his true chi. But will in you as me, and in me as you, in the body form an outcome where you are forever side by side with him. If one day my clan revives, if my clan once again becomes the heavenly Tao among the 3 paths of heaven, earth, and humanity, and you still cannot let go of your human path, you and I, can we still be side by side? The distant future, like the distant firmament. The vast firmament, unknown in appearance. The future is more vast, with paths hard to discern. Chapter 487. Chapter 487. Seizing the wing blades again, targeting the Lord. Northern regions, the very distant north. It's only the beginning of October, but the northern land is already a world of ice and snow. The Arctic winds sweep across the vast Arctic Ocean, heralding the change of seasons. In this sparsely populated barren land, a modern research center is half concealed underground. A military force is stationed here. The army has no unit number and seems not to be part of any nation's military system, but its sophisticated equipment clearly shows it is a regular force. The open area is exposed on all sides. Occasionally, helicopters take off and land in the sky. All indications suggest that such a place is not suitable for a surprise attack. However, the same saying goes, as long as there are people, there is space for Lin Ziasu to operate. The perimeter is guarded by sentinels. So let's start with the sentinels. In a moment, a sentinel near the mountain seemed to vanish into thin air. The next moment, he reappeared from around the corner, adjusting his uniform, and the patrolling sentinel across the way looked over without any suspicion. The sentinel had been replaced just like that. Then it's time to infiltrate. The password, as long as someone has used it before, under the time-space reversal, becomes a clear guide for Lin Ziasu. Soon, he was inside this heavily guarded military base. Inside the military base, a commander died in the restroom, and just before dying, he told Lin Ziasu the location of the wing blade. The next moment, he transformed into the appearance of the commander and came to check the basic situation of the wing blade. A few sentinels followed beside him, guarding the inspecting chief throughout the process. As a heavy iron door opened slowly, Lin Ziasu saw the wing blade. 2 wing blades quietly leaned against the corner. These are the final 2 wing blades of the 9-headed snake. General, a researcher stood at attention up ahead. How is the wing blade condition? Lin Ziasu's voice was calm, with a faint metallic undertone, the standard accent of this base's general. Just completed the inspection, everything is normal, the researcher said. Lin Ziasu strode forward, extended a finger, and pointed at the place between the wing blade's eyebrows. Under the heavenly Tao primordial spirit, the energy stone was sufficient. With a gentle swipe of Lin Ziasu's finger, the array power was released, destroying the modern add-on attached to the wing blade, the central control system. Once the central control system was destroyed, the alarms blared. Soldiers suddenly oriented, their eyes fixed on the alarm above. An emergency command came from a communication device. Wing blade central control disconnected. Close the base immediately. The entire base began the shutdown procedure. In the research room, several researchers were dumbfounded. The general was inspecting on site. How could there be a sudden problem with the wing blade? How's that possible? Just then, Lin Zaiasu's fingers drew a few strange trajectories on the place between the wing blade's eyebrows, and suddenly its eyes lit up. No problem. The research leader, seeing the green glow in the wing blade's eyes, was reassured. But glancing at the adjacent wing blade, his heart skipped. Could it be this one that had the issue? He was just about to approach to check. Lin Zaiasu pointed again at the place between this wing blade's eyebrows and drew one more strange trajectory. The wing blade under his finger also lit up. The researchers glanced at each other. No problem, so why the alarm? As soon as the words fell, the wing blade suddenly spread its wings. Swoosh! 4 researchers were cut in half. Amidst a chorus of screams, the 2 wing blades simultaneously turned around and rammed into the wall behind them. A solid reinforced concrete wall broke open a large hole. Lin Zaiasu laughed heartily, stepped onto the wing blade, and soared into the sky through the large hole, disappearing beyond the firmament. The news from the base reached the island at sea immediately. The message bearer lay on the floor, his back soaked through. He had a premonition that the Lord would not be able to accept such news. The Lord might even kill. However, after hearing the news, the Lord was like a statue, completely frozen. The message bearer quietly raised his gaze and saw clouds of distress swirling on the Lord's face, sensed the signs of a volcanic eruption. However, the Lord took a deep breath and slowly calmed down. The entire process suffocating. "Lord, it's time to deploy Old White," an elderly voice sounded. The Lord suddenly turned around. Beside him, an old man of Caucasian descent, decrepit and ancient, had appeared unbeknownst to him. This person has already obtained that deadly documentation, sufficient to destroy our century-old foundation. No matter how deep the infiltration, no matter the mission's magnitude, the time to act is now, the elderly man said. The Lord slowly nodded. Jingnai City, West District, the night was calm. A regular residential house with gentle lighting. Under the light, Blood Trace and Blue Demon cast their gaze out the window, both with a hint of excitement. In a foreign land, engaged in top-level espionage, they dared not be careless. They hadn't contacted Lin Zaiasu, nor did they know his current situation, but some news had reached them through various channels, causing waves of turmoil in their hearts that never ceased for a moment. The whispers in the city were increasingly ominous. So much so that in the hotel, they felt unsafe and chose a private residence instead. The night was deep. The streets were silent. Autumn wind arose, and the leaves fluttered down. Suddenly, a breeze stirred in the hall, and 2 figures appeared out of thin air before them. It was Lin Zaiasu and Saintess Qian Ling. They didn't use the front door, they came through the window. But their technique of entering through the window was so subtle that even the 2 heavenly kings couldn't catch it. "What's the situation?" Blue Demon stepped forward. Lin Zaiasu's smiling face appeared under the light. Qian Long might need to spend some money. With those words, the 2 heavenly kings were stunned. Blood Trace's eyes widened. "Qian Long needs to spend. How so?" "I remember the bounty for slaying a heavenly king is 5 million. This time, 101 needs to transfer 30 million to me." The 6 great kings all wiped out. Blood Trace's eyes shone brightly. Lin Zaiasu laughed. "Iron Blood Heavenly King Jin En, leader of the Ghost Wolf Army. Fog Heavenly King Audrey, the Fashion Queen of Luoba State. Ice Heavenly King Kelson, Royal Guard Commander of the Luo Rai Country. Fiery Fire Heavenly King Lays, head of the Lays family. Dark Heavenly King Dudo, owner of Pero Group. Water Heavenly King Joseph, chairman of the Romanian Executive Committee." Each of the 6 great kings matched one by one. Blood Trace felt a wave of shock after another in his heart. The information he and Blue Demon had gathered only concerned 2 of them. One was the Ghost Wolf Army leader, Jin En, and the other was the owner of the Pero Group, Dudo, both slain by the Wing Blade. They had speculated that these 2 were definitely important figures in the 9-headed snake, slain under Lin Zaiasu's Wing Blade. Given that the global narrative had shifted, many people naturally attributed the Wing Blade killings to the 9-headed snake. But they knew these 2 had been killed by Lin Zaiasu's control of the Wing Blade. Who would have thought they were both Hydra Kings, and what was even more unexpected was that he didn't stop at just these 2. He wiped out all existing 6 Hydra Kings in one blow. Blue Demon's eyes gleamed. There's a question. When was Joseph, the Romanian Executive Committee chairman, killed? The night before last. That's not right, he just appeared on TV. Blue Demon and Blood Trace both said. This is the trickery of the venerable Hydra snake. The real Joseph is already dead in Tokyo, Saintess Kyan Ling said. The Joseph everyone sees is a design double. He was originally intended to be sent to us for killing, but he saw through the disguise and directly bypassed the fake to strike at the real one. The 2 heavenly kings looked at each other. In just 3 days, all 6 Hydra Kings were eliminated. What a tumultuous event this was. As long as they return to Qianlong headquarters, as long as they verify the identities of these 6 people, their trip to Luoba State will go down in history. Coming to Luoba State this time, the set mission goals have basically been achieved. If there's any regret, it's just one. An issue about that mysterious lord, Lin Zaiasu said. I've used various methods for tracing and so far only have one image, but this image, by normal judgment, isn't very valuable. An image? Where did it come from? Blue Demon asked. It was captured from the video connection between this lord and the Fog Heavenly King, Lin Zaiasu replied. The Fog Heavenly King stated clearly that this image is not his true appearance. The Lord gave strict orders to all major level 1 kings not to detect the Lord's identity, so even up to the Heavenly King level, they remain unaware of this Lord. Even the kings who are just 1 level away from him are unaware. The secrecy is well maintained, Blood Trace noted. Then this image, as you speculated, isn't of much value since forging a communication image is way too easy. The image, let me see, Saintess Kyan Ling said. There's no image ready. I'll draw it on the spot. Lin Zaiasu raised his hand, grabbed a pen, and pulled out a piece of white paper, drawing on the spot. Everyone watched him draw in real time, feeling amazed. He could draw. But the next moment, everyone was stunned. The drawing was lifelike. It was completely in a realistic style. This showcased the formidable nature of human Tao Orchid Heart, where what he saw was perfectly imprinted in his brain, and his hand matched the mental image perfectly, resulting in a perfect presentation. A Caucasian man, around 50 or 60 years old, with hair and beard neatly maintained, and under Lin Zaiasu's pen, each strand of hair was vividly detailed. There was an inherent sense of majesty without anger, coupled with an air of Western nobility. Blue Demon's eyes blinked. Activating Dragon Eye to capture this image, Qianlong system initiated a database comparison. Qianlong's database was ever improving, ever expanding, aiming to include notable people globally. In an instant, millions of individuals were subjected to comparison in the database. 10 minutes later, the comparison ended. 100% confirmed matches, none. 95% similarity, over 1,000. Below 95%, astronomical numbers. The few compared the data of those with 95% similarity, quickly filtering and sifting, their heads spinning for a while. Blood Trace gently shook his head. Considering the possibility of fake data in this image, this kind of comparison is actually meaningless. Blue Demon agreed. Image falsification was too easy in itself. This person could even snatch someone's photo, fabricating the identity of the venerable Hydra Snake's lord for someone, making such an investigation doomed to no result. This person has a striking feature, green eyes and a very peculiar green, like a patch of green spreading from the base of the eyeball upwards, causing his gaze to shift with his emotions. And this isn't faked, it's a natural physiological trait, said Lin Zaiasu. Blue Demon's eyes brightened. You saw this through the image. Yes, Blue Demon said. I once met someone who very closely aligns with what you described, from a special family with unique hereditary genes. Lin Zaiasu's eyes shone. Which family? Chasebour. Chapter 488. Chapter 488. Who is the Lord? Everyone present was shocked. The Chasebour family is a terrifying force in this world. The consortium it controls is the Chasebour Consortium, one of the top 10 global conglomerates. Its industries span resources, armaments, technology, real estate, almost all sectors impacting national welfare. It has its hands in everything. Some even say that the top 10 conglomerates are the shadow government of the Western world. Solid as a rock, with presidents coming and going, that's what they say about them. Through the green in the depths of her eyes, Blue Demon captured this consortium's genetic traits, owing to her unique genetic makeup. She is a grandmaster of transformation technique, extremely sensitive to the genetic characteristics of the human body, because this is how she makes her living. Others can only see the surface, but she can discern the connection between appearance and bloodline. Lin Zaiasu took out the dragon eye and found an image of a direct descendant of the Chasepur family speaking at a public event. This person, wearing photochromatic glasses, seemed charming, but Lin Zaiasu still detected the faint, nearly imperceptible green behind the glasses, connecting to the overwhelming green in the eyes of the old man in the Fog Heavenly King's secret chamber. He then viewed several more images, all of different people from the Chasepur family. Some had a faint green hue, while others had strong green. Those with strong green mostly wore photochromatic glasses in public settings, seemingly hiding certain secrets in their eyes that they didn't want others to detect. Perhaps the image you saw wasn't disguised, suddenly spoke the Saintess Qian Ling. She had been silent throughout the process, and now she spoke. Lin Zaiasu turned his gaze towards her, a little surprised. Not disguised. Strictly forbidding subordinates from probing, clearly not wanting to expose themselves, yet they didn't disguise it. Do they not know how shrewd the Fog Heavenly King is? Saintess Qian Ling said, I saw a photo in the Chris family's castle, documenting a collaboration 30 years ago between the Chasepur and the Chris families. The man in the photo, named John Chasepur, was the head of the Chasepur family at that time. After this collaboration, he retired behind the scenes, handing over family affairs entirely to his son, Tove Chasepur. From then on, he never appeared in public. Lin Zaiasu's heart jumped. Does he look similar to this image I've drawn? Almost identical. Blue Demon's eyes widened, but you said, this is a photo from 30 years ago. Yes, that's where the mystery lies. Normal people would have two completely different faces 30 years apart. However, the Chasepur family is unique. Their bloodline contains remnants of their ancestors, the Blood Clan, granting them significantly longer lifespans and slower aging compared to ordinary people. Their longest recorded lifespan is 190 years, and that record is just what is presented to the public. The true record is unknown. Everyone fell silent, yet everyone's eyes were sparkling. A 30-year-old photograph contained this person today, and his family is one of the top 10 conglomerates, the Chasepur family. Everything fits perfectly with the identity of the venerable Hydra snake. The 9-headed snake has done all kinds of evils worldwide, surely with certain goals, and during these rampant years, the Chasepur family's assets and power have soared. No ordinary power can sustain such a massive organization. Only a superpower like one of the top 10 conglomerates could have such ambition and capability. This person is currently at Ney Castle, said the Saintess Qian Ling. Ney Castle is on Ney Island. Lin Zaiasu's mind stirred. A rift opened between the secret realm space and the outside world, and an array plate activated within the secret realm space. On the Sen River, a wing blade's eyes suddenly opened, producing a faint hissing sound as it shot into the sky, soaring over 500 miles across a strait from above, looking down at an island. This island is Ney Island, with first-class scenery featuring a mountain and numerous castles. Surrounding the castles are towering ancient trees, and beneath lies a verdant prairie, still as lush as spring in this autumn. The wing blade oversaw from high above. The image transmitted as an array eye into Lin Zaiasu's secret realm, where his primordial spirit roamed freely, observing every detail with the heavenly Tao wisdom eye. His eyes were closed, but a few strands of hair on his forehead gently floated upwards. About 5 minutes passed. His eyes suddenly opened wide. In that moment, his eyes were infinitely radiant. I can basically confirm this lord is indeed John Chasepur, Lin Zaiasu said. Did you verify it with the wing blade? Yes, the island is full of masters. This single sentence was enough. An ordinary retired elder doesn't need numerous masters by his side, even as a former head of a top-level consortium. But he has countless masters with him. This alone points to the special nature of this island. Countless masters. To what extent, Blood Trace asked, can we with just our 4 hope to dismantle it? The Saintess Qian Ling glanced sideways. 4 people. You probably don't know. There are 3 wing blades in addition, right? Whether or not the wing blades compare to me, the Saintess Qian Ling, is another matter. They are definitely stronger than you, the Blood Trace King. Lin Zaiasu remained silent, his gaze slowly lifted. No plans for the next 3 days, but 3 days later we can initiate. Why 3 days later? Blood Trace asked. Lin Zaiasu said, 3 days later, a typhoon will make landfall, wild winds and heavy rains, perfect to annihilate this worthless organization. Blood Trace and Blue Demon exchanged an invigorated look. If they personally end the last bastion of the nine-headed snake, they'll both be commemorated in the hidden dragon pillar, truly making history. This is the ultimate pursuit of the Qianlong King. Rest tonight, Blood Trace said. This villa has 5 rooms. Lin Zaiasu entered a room and quickly fell asleep. The next morning he opened the door to greet the tranquil sunrise. Against the sun, the Saintess Qian Ling sat by the window, holding a butterfly. The butterfly danced in her palm, but no matter what, it couldn't escape. The season has come, and soon the butterflies will die, Saintess Qian Ling sighed softly. Do you want to use your special power to keep it from dying? Lin Zaiasu leaned on the windowsill, smiling, and asked her. I could allow it to survive the harsh winter, but it would disrupt its life cycle, Saintess Qian Ling said. Let it follow the natural law instead. She gently raised her hand, and the butterfly flew away from her palm. Saintess Qian Ling looked up and smiled gently. You've already set the tone, and your comrades are inspired. But have you considered that if old Sir John knew about your decision, he might be just as thrilled? Is that so? Saintess Qian Ling said. You already stole the core information. According to usual procedures, you should rush the information back to Qianlong headquarters overnight. This is the most conventional approach, but also the one he fears the most, isn't it? Perhaps, Lin Zaiasu said. Saintess Qian Ling said, but you insist on targeting his lair. Haven't you thought that this gives him a chance at escaping doom? Our meaning was clear. Lin Zaiasu had obtained the list of Hydra members. This is the greatest achievement that could overthrow Hydra and an unsolvable dilemma for Hydra. By conventional thinking, following spy protocols, he should deliver this back to Qianlong headquarters immediately. But he wouldn't. He still wanted to target the Venerable, planning to challenge him. Isn't this giving the Venerable a chance? If the Venerable could counterattack and kill him, wouldn't he have the chance to reclaim the lost information? That's why she said if John Chasebor knew of his plan to attack his lair, he would probably be very excited. Lin Zaiasu laughed. You may be right, but the opportunity is rare. Opportunity? Which opportunity are you talking about? Whose opportunity? Lin Zaiasu looked up at the sky. The typhoon and storm are our opportunity. Typhoon and storm. Using this natural disaster to fish in troubled waters. The logic, it somewhat holds. In Luoba State, they fight alone. And the enemies keep emerging. Facing small groups of enemies, they could naturally outmaneuver and destroy them with superior skills. But when facing someone of the venerable Hydra snake's level, they probably do need to leverage the power of nature to fish in troubled waters. Well, in any case, Saintess Qian Ling trusts his battle wisdom. Fight. That's all there is to it. The third day. Just as the weather forecast predicted, the typhoon is coming. The clouds hung low. The wind was fierce. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. The storm was imminent. Typhoon weather is very common along the Taping Ocean coast. Quite rare in Luoba State, because its neighboring Atlantic Ocean generally has a mild character, with very few extreme weather events. However, no matter how mild it is, being an ocean, it does have some temper. This time, it seems it's going to show a bit of that. The night had fallen, and finally, heavy rain arrived in Jingna City. As the rain poured down, the surrounding became a blur. In the dark night, 3 wing blades simultaneously cut through the sky. On the backs of the wing blades, 4 figures. Blood Trace and Blue Demon each took one. Lin Zaiasu and Saintess Qian Ling shared one. This flight straight through the clouds above. Although it was Blood Trace King's second time riding a wing blade, the first time wasn't truly riding, but rather the wing blade carrying him out of the Alpine Mountains. He was still excited, because he truly confirmed it. Lin Zaiasu's trip to Luoba State gained 2 more wing blades, although he didn't know the method of how they were obtained. But that the wing blades were under his control was indisputable. In the past, wing blades were deadly weapons in Hydra's hands. Any king on a mission had to guard against Hydra's wing blade ambushes. But now, all of Hydra's 4 wing blades had taken the name Zia. This journey to Hydra's lair, using Hydra's own divine artifact, wouldn't that drive them angry? Blue Demon, sitting on the wing blade, gazed through the misty clouds, sometimes catching glimpses of Lin Zaiasu and Saintess Kaian Ling, always felt a strange sensation in her heart. Only two people in the world knew this woman's identity. One was Lin Zaiasu, the other was her blue demon. Even Chang Yi didn't know, even Miao Ruolan didn't know. What does this imply? It shows he sees her blue demon as unique. But from Blue Demon's perspective, she distinctly felt that the relationship between Saintess Kaian Ling and him was also unique. Chapter 489. Chapter 489. Ne Castle, the Ultimate Battle. Meeting him in Luoba State, she trusted him so much. At their first meeting, she gave herself and the Blood Trace King a flower. Eating this flower instantly healed their injuries, a miraculous flower to the extreme, given to this group of people constantly on the blood and fire battlefield. It was invaluable. This wasn't out of respect for their Qianlong king. This was purely out of respect for Lin Zaiasu. This woman only needed a single flower to show her regard for Lin Zaiasu. They acted together in Luoba State, hunting the 6 great kings, seizing 2 wing blades. In this world, they wrote their duet in bold strokes. What exactly is their relationship? Lin Zaios, did you really lay hands on a woman over 10,000 years old? Saintess Kaian Ling, you old woman over 10,000 years, really an old cow eating young grass. Meanwhile, on Ne Island within Ne Castle, John Chasebor gazed far into the distance at the huge waves, his eyes shimmering green like the churning sea. The secret line from Daxia sent back news that the Blue Demon, Blood Trace, and Lin Zaiasu did not return to Daxia. This means they are still in Luoba State. Why is it that, although he already obtained the most important intelligence and held revolutionary chips, he didn't hurry back to Daxia? Could it be that he is really intending to find this lord? If so, it would indeed be a delightful surprise. It gave him a chance to escape from a hopeless situation. Such a thing normal spies can't achieve, normal Qianlong can't achieve, and the only one who probably can is a half-baked spy like Lin Zaiasu. Because he is an uncontrollable person, he is someone who does not need to abide by espionage rules. Furthermore, in the land of Luoba State, everything he plots comes to fruition, indirectly inflating his confidence. Hopefully, he really intends to come looking for him. He even hopes Lin Zaiasu really finds him. Tonight the typhoon crosses, tonight the ocean is hard to calm. Hopefully, after this storm passes, the situation will be smooth and clear. Just as he had this thought, his gaze suddenly lifted, shooting straight to the horizon. A bolt of lightning crossed the sky. Amidst the dense clouds above the foggy rain, he vaguely saw a black dot. Only someone with his extraordinary eyesight could see it. John raised his hand, pressing a button. A light streaked across the rain fog, over the entire castle. In an instant, countless green lights lit up by the building and in the bushes. These are robots, high-level killing machines. And in every corner of the castle, at the same time, countless people sprang up like apes or ghosts, genetic people. Various high-level genetic people. The next moment, 3 wing blades burst through the air simultaneously. The wing blades cut through the space, originally unknown to anyone. But today was destined to be an exception. Before the wing blades were 300 meters from the castle, 10 flares suddenly rose into the sky. The sky lit up like daylight. The closed defense gun fired, bullets instantly densely covering the northwest sky. The closed defense gun was actually modified from a warship's close-in defense artillery. The speed at which bullets were poured out was truly astonishing. 13 sets, 390-barrel guns, pouring out more than 2,000 bullets per second. At this moment, bullets fell like rain 10 times, 100 times faster. The always unstoppable wing blades encountered the first truly prescient enemy in their lives. Instantly caught in a rain of bullets. The wing blades couldn't be shot down with bullets. The closed defense gun was not actually targeting the wing blades themselves. It was targeting the people on the back of the wing blades. However, under the flares it was clearly seen. On the back of the wing blades, there was no one. An urgent round of firing, the wing blades hit countless times, yet this level of bullets was completely ineffective on the wing blades, which whizzed past, directly shaking away 2 sets of closed defense guns. An old man shouted sharply, "Over there." He pointed a finger toward the treetop in front. "There's someone on top of the tree." The close defense guns abruptly adjusted direction. Bullets poured towards that area of the woods. The figure on the treetops flew up together. so fast as to be almost invisible. But in the castle, dozens of shadows leapt up at the same time, surprisingly making a precise interception. In front of the Blood Trace King, two people floated in midair. The Blood Trace King's scimitar trembled suddenly. His movement technique increased by 10 times. He passed swiftly by the two people. Swoosh! The two sharp sounds were as one, accompanied by two heads flying up. In front of him, a blue flash of lightning seemed to be in line with the horizon's lightning, sweeping through the forest at a speed faster than him. Two genetic people just emerging from behind the trees. Heads flew up. Blue Demon. The fight officially started. Lin Zaiasu collided with four genetic people, forming an encirclement. In Lin Zaiasu's hand, a longsword appeared from nowhere. Swoosh! The sharp sword light illuminated the night sky. Four heads beheaded simultaneously. A large chunk appeared ahead, its whole body like steel. The first move of his Li Ren swordsmanship, separation, swiftly cut across his neck, this person unharmed. A punch came violently. This punch seemed to smash through the rain fog in front. Lin Zaiasu's longsword suddenly stood upright. It transformed into the second form, severing a motion. Boom! The big guy flew backward, his fist a ghastly white, blood washed away by the heavy rain. Inside the castle, John's eyes locked onto the sword light through the endless rain and mist, his eyes now flooded with green light. Boom! Countless machines rose up, starting from the corners, grass, and rooftops. In an instant, the entire battlefield became a sea of machines. Suddenly, the huge tree in the air quivered violently, countless branches sweeping out. These branches danced wildly like frenzied serpents. In no time, flying machines hit the branches, leaping machines were bound by soft vines, and unmoving machines on the ground were crazily entangled by surrounding plants. Damn it, kill her! A leader raised his hand, pointing directly at the treetop where Saintess Kyan Ling stood. Her golden hair flowed smoothly even in the downpour. She seemed otherworldly in this rainy night. The rooftop's close defense guns, struck several times by the wing blade, now had only 3 out of 13 left. All three turned and opened fire simultaneously. Bullets covered half the sky. Lin Zaiasu had just sent a Nirvana 10 meters out with a severing emotion. When he suddenly saw this scene, his expression changed dramatically. Saintess Kyan Ling seemed to sense his worry and gave a charming smile, full of allure. In a soundless and seamless moment, the trees around her became impossibly dense. Thousands of bullets rained down, hitting the trees. Countless trees were broken, yet even more trees formed. In no time, the ancient tree she was on surpassed the castle in height. And she, hidden in a special tree hollow space she created, was invisible to outsiders. Swish! A figure as swift as an ape, yet 100 times nimbler, climbed the tree. One moment he was at the tree's center, the next, he was above the treetop. His climbing speed was akin to instant teleportation. Nirvana, Blood Trace King, noticed it at once. His heart trembled. With a swift sound, a gust of wind swept past him, and Blood Trace King's right arm was severed halfway. He suddenly turned back and saw a figure flickering in the rain. Beifeng. It was Beifeng, whom he had chased all the way from Daxia to Luoba State. They once fought a life-and-death battle beneath the Alpine Mountains. That battle ended with both severely wounded. And today, Beifeng suddenly appeared, injuring his right arm with a speed too fast to react to. Beifeng laughed heartily. Blood Trace, today you're courting death. He spoke from 10 meters away, yet as his voice reached, so did he, with a nearly invisible blade aimed at Blood Trace's right arm. As a genius of slaughter, emerging victorious from the 1 in 10,000 challenge on Nirvana Island, he knew how to effectively end a foe. Strike where they're hurt, continue to strike there. However, today he miscalculated. Blood Trace's right hand shook. A curved blade came forward with a sharp clang, and Beifeng vanished into the wind, escaping with an incredulous scream. Because he witnessed something astonishing with his own eyes. Blood Trace's right arm, which he had just cut, had already stopped bleeding. This healing ability was due to a special gene, or perhaps some miraculous medicine, like the wood flower used by the Heavenly King group obtained from the ancient spirit clan. Blood Trace himself didn't have this gene. No one else knew, but Beifeng was clearly aware, as they had once injured each other and Blood Trace fled without stopping the bleeding for days and nights. Yet now he inexplicably possessed a self-healing divine skill. How did it happen? Countless thoughts flowed through his mind as Baofeng initiated his Baofeng battle technique, merging into the wind, his form completely elusive with the storm's rage. And Blood Trace King, at full throttle, employed the Decan steps, becoming 9 shadows, real and illusory, while his heavenly ruined blade gradually displayed some unpredictability. Blue Demon used her electric body technique to the extreme, having slain many, yet encountered a Nirvana. The Nirvana's movement technique could keep up with hers. She switched 7 positions but couldn't shake him off. With a loud boom, Blue Demon flew far away. The Nirvana grinned fiercely, brandishing a black blade towards Blue Demon's throat. And Blue Demon had completely lost her balance. At this moment, a sharp sword light flashed behind the Nirvana, and the Nirvana's head flew. Lin Zaiasu reached out his hand. A large handful of earth-falling beast scales appeared in his palm. Chi. The Dakongxuan was unleashed, and the heads of 7 nearby genetic masters flew. Blue Demon finally caught her breath, deeply inhaled, and her form turned to lightning, ready to rejoin the battle. Meanwhile, Saintess Kyan Ling faced a true challenge. The Nirvana, ape-like with agility beyond belief, zipped among the branches, suddenly appearing in front of her, his claws extending endlessly. Seeing her encircled without escape, suddenly, Saintess Kyan Ling lifted her hand, and a tender green branch formed out of thin air in her palm. The branch waved with unparalleled grace. The Nirvana suddenly felt the tender green branch transform into a towering tree, commanding the skies, while he was just an ant beneath. Chi. The tender green branch struck the Nirvana's forehead, enveloping him in a faint glow. Quietly, he disintegrated. No blood or flesh, only glowing points of light. And Saintess Kyan Ling's face turned extremely pale, and the tree under her control seemed to have shrunk unexpectedly, with a gaping breach in the dense, impenetrable forest barrier. Chapter 490. Chapter 490. I borrow the raging rain to gift you Li Ren tears. Through the crack, she saw the situation on the rooftop, where a wing blade was weaving in and out, disassembling all 13 close defense guns on the rooftop. More than 30 people were split in two. On the left side, another wing blade was harvesting. On the right side, yet another. 3 wing blades, one on the left, one on the right, and one above, with clear division of labor, achieving excellent results. In the center of the encirclement, Blood Trace was entangled by a master and couldn't break free. Although Blue Demon relied on her incredibly fast movement technique to move back and forth, with the appearance of a Nirvana, she became a fish in the net. Despite her agile movements, she could no longer harm anyone. Lin Zaiasu was the most courageous, fighting his way to the base of the castle. Neither Awakener nor Nirvana could stop his advance, yet too many people gathered at the entrance of the ancient castle. Could the entire journey truly succeed? A sliver of doubt rose in Saintess Kyan Ling's heart. But at this point they could only fight. She took a deep breath, and 2 tree branches suddenly extended infinitely. One pointed at the Nirvana in front of Blue Demon, and the other pointed at Baofeng. This was her strategy. First, liberate these 2 forces. However, just as the 2 tree branches extended, a figure flashed in the air. Lightning streaked across the sky, shocking Saintess Kyan Ling. This person was the face she had researched the most during this time. John Chasebour, Venerable Hydra Snake. The Lord stepped into the air, and with a fierce stretch of his hand, his fingernails suddenly extended into 2 green blades. The blades, like heavenly swords, fell into the void, cutting Saintess Kyan Ling's 2 glowing tree branches in half. With all this, Saintess Kyan Ling let out a muted groan as her entire body's energy and blood surged chaotically. She took a deep breath, and the tree at her feet went wild. Crazy growth, crazy spiraling. This was her second move powered by all her spiritual power, spirit control of 10,000 woods. No longer focusing on precise slaughter, but completely controlling an area of heaven and earth. However, the Lord stomped down. A tremendous quake ensued. The ancient tree beneath her feet shattered to pieces. Breaking inch by inch, the tree turned to debris. The connection between Saintess Kyan Ling and the tree was directly severed, and she fell with countless fallen leaves and broken branches. Swoosh! A flash of green light before her, like a demonic sword emerging from the abyssal. 2 fingernails extended infinitely, transforming into a sharp sword, piercing straight at her brow. This was the Venerable Hydra Snake. Executing a sequence of 3 attacks, the first broke the spirit control of 1,000 mountains, The second destroyed the spirit control of 10,000 woods, and the third aimed straight for Saintess Kyan Ling's life. His movement technique was as fast as instant teleportation. His strength was overwhelmingly extraordinary. His attacks were incomparably bizarre. Even a peerless heavenly pride from 10,000 years ago, when their cultivation was far from restored, was no match for such a surpassing hero beyond nirvana. Just as this strike was about to pierce through Saintess Kyan Ling's brow, swoosh! A supremely sharp sword light sliced through the rain and fog. A person appeared out of nowhere in front of Saintess Kyan Ling. Lin Ziasu. He used a move, separation, to strike the two green fingernails. The green nail sword recoiled, like two green lightning bolts, slicing through the rain and fog, shooting left and right at Lin Ziasu. Lin Ziasu vertically raised his hand, and a sword arose. This sword severing a motion. Whoosh! The endless wind and rain seemed to clear away. The Lord's two green fingernail swords swung far out. As the sword fell, it was like a mountain toppling. Straight at the Lord. The Lord's two fingernails suddenly retracted, shielding his face. Bang! When the sword met the green fingernails, with them as the center within a 10-meter radius, all the fallen leaves and broken branches flew up. Above them, wind and rain could not penetrate. Lin Ziasu's hair flew high. The Lord's white hair also flew high. It was an incredibly bizarre scene. Originally just a narrow longsword, and two even narrower fingernails under their hands, portrayed an overwhelming majesty. Lin Ziasu, the Lord laughed loudly, you surely never expected that I sincerely awaited your arrival today. In the storm, his voice seemed to carry a magical power. With a magical penetrative force, his voice reached Saintess Kyan Ling's ears, sending a chill through her entire body. She had once discussed with Lin Ziasu. She had told Lin Ziasu, if the venerable Hydra snake knew you were targeting him, perhaps he would be very excited. Because this gave him a chance to survive a desperate situation, giving him a chance to regain the life-threatening list stolen by Lin Ziasu. And now it was confirmed. The venerable Hydra snake indeed had this belief. In your understanding, me coming here gives you a glimmer of survival opportunity, is it? Lin Ziasu's voice was calm. Isn't it? The venerable Hydra snake laughed wildly. You want an opportunity, but alas, heaven does not grant it to you. As Lin Ziasu's voice fell, he gently lifted the sword in his hand, drawing a graceful trajectory. This sword had none of the sharpness of separation, none of the overwhelming might of severing emotion, none of the inevitable killing intent inherent to any swordsmanship, but only a trace of charm. It no longer seemed like he was wielding a sword but a paintbrush. Under the paintbrush, he painted not a battle on the field but mist rain Jiangnan. As the sword passed, the Lord's expression suddenly changed. His face was filled with disbelief. The intense killing intent throughout the scene seemed to be dissipated by this incredibly beautiful sword. Countless people watched this sword in astonishment, gazing at the scroll of Jiangnan mist rain created by this sword, looking at the person within who has completely lost composure. The Lord's face seemed to flicker with endless emotions in an instant. His green eyes, from which that glimmer of green light burst forth, at this moment, seemed to shatter into pieces. Suddenly, with a swish, a blood sword shot out from his forehead. In the blink of an eye, blood swords burst out from all over his body. Slowly, he fell backward with his face upward. The torrential rain poured, the fierce wind howled. In that misty scroll, Lin Ziasu, like a fan with his sword, gently fanned away all the gloom. Lord, countless people shouted in unison. Filled with terror, filled with disbelief. They all knew the Lord was omnipotent. The Lord was a god in this end of Dharma era. Whether it was the elders in politics, the moguls in commerce, or various top-level heavenly pride, all were mere pawns within the Lord's grasp. Yet today, a young man from Daxia swept across Luoba State and ended the Lord's life in his stronghold just like that. The rest of them truly smelled the breath of the apocalypse. Fear, madness. Swish. Blood Mark 9 shadows combined into one, repelling Beifeng with a strike. Suddenly appeared in front of Blue Demon. What kind of sword move is this? His voice was so agitated. Because he was an ancient martial cultivator, he was extremely sensitive to sword Dao. He had never seen such a sword, so beautiful, so inconceivable, as if it contained the ultimate secrets of sword Dao. Blue Demon's eyes shone like stars. The entire galaxy seemed to unfold instantly. Her voice drifted over, carrying endless sentiment. I finally understand why he chose to strike today. Choosing today to strike was only for one reason, which he repeatedly mentioned: typhoon and rainstorm. The typhoon and rainstorm were not just climatic features. Choosing such weather to strike was not merely opportunistic, but it involved his ultimate sword Dao. The sword Li Ren Tears. Originally, Lin Zaiasu couldn't perform it, but Blue Demon had once seen it on a submarine in the South Sea. He had also frankly told her, "I can't perform this sword at this stage. I can only borrow water to execute." Borrowing water to execute was the fundamental reason he chose stormy weather to annihilate the nine-headed snake's lair. He could perform this move, completely surpassing his cultivation level in the rainstorm. This sword, invincible under heaven. His approach to enemies was not just in warfare strategy, but also in knowing oneself and knowing the enemy. All things in nature were his pawns in the game, including the weather. Saintess Kyan Ling's eyes also brightened. She was so shocked. In the end of Dharma era, he actually comprehended sword intent. Only she knew this beautiful sword move contained a secret of sword Dao, sword intent. What is sword intent? The will of sword Dao. Sword intent is established on a deep understanding of sword moves, on a thorough understanding of one's own true chi, and further on a magical harmony with sword Dao. This beautiful sword move originally started with observing heaven as its basis. He hadn't entered observing heaven, originally couldn't perform, but with sword intent, he borrowed water to perform. Such comprehension, such harmony with sword Dao, isn't this an unparalleled, once-in-a-lifetime heavenly pride? Such an unparalleled heavenly pride like you, yet you sever your own path of cultivation. An odd feeling suddenly rose in Saintess Kyan Ling's heart. Somewhat pained, infinitely regretful. On the wild cry. Like a storm passing. Beifeng went completely mad. As his body rose, the typhoon seemed to become his garment, sweeping up a tall tree from its roots behind him, and he, as the forefront of the typhoon, struck towards Lin Zaiasu. However, this wild wind, upon entering the Jiangnan mist rain circle created by Lin Zaiasu, suddenly turned into a gentle breeze. Lin Zaiasu waved lightly, like a refined gentleman from Jiangnan opening a folding fan. Beifeng's figure floated downward. SDZZ. A drop of water transformed into a sword, pierced through his forehead. With a soft sound, Beifeng's head burst open. After fiercely battling Blood Trace King twice, Beifeng hadn't fallen behind. Named after the wind, his combat power significantly increased in the typhoon season, yet before Lin Zaiasu, he was just a drop of spring rain in Jiangnan. This is the third form of Li Ren swordsmanship, Li Ren Tears. This is sword Tao will, sword intent. The whole ancient fort suddenly went into chaos. Countless people went mad. They originally waited leisurely, thinking the unwise would come to die, but now it has been proven the incoming person isn't here to die, they are the true killing god. All of a sudden, everyone at the nine-headed snake headquarters became trapped beasts. Kill. Blue Demon flashed out, killed 3 men. Blood-marked 9 shadows appeared, hard to distinguish between real and illusory. Saintess Kyan Ling took a deep breath, plants crazily grew. The 3 wing blades were in puppet mode today, with slaughter programs pre-implanted, able to kill all living things except for their 4 wing blades darted swiftly, high and low slaughter reaching extremes. And Lin Zaiasu, having killed the Lord, no longer needed to conceal, fully entering Li Ren Tears mode. Drifting to and fro, wherever he went, all turned into mist rain Jiangnan. Whether genetic people, awakeners, or nirvanas, once entering his domain, were all like withered blossoms in the rain, gently wiped away. Even robots, once entering this domain, became riddled with holes in an instant. This domain, visibly breathtakingly beautiful. Only by entering it would you know its terror. The slightest drizzle and fog were all swords. Swords everywhere. All of a sudden the line advanced, unstoppable. Chapter 491. Chapter 491, The Lord's Enigma. The first wave, over 70 people kill. The second wave, over 40 people dead. The third wave. Everyone suddenly turned back, those entering the ancient castle, those jumping into the sea. Those jumping into the sea couldn't escape the hunting of the wing blades. Those entering the ancient castle seemed to have chosen the right method because Lin Zaiasu's most terrifying killer move needed rain to perform, and he couldn't create Jiang and mist rain inside the castle. However, the ancient trees grew explosively, and the ancient castle collapsed with a bang. This collapse was a full-force strike from Saintess Qian Ling. Those inside lost their shelter, and thus lost all their chances. Half an hour. 1 hour. 2 hours. As Lin Zaiasu stepped to the edge of the cliff, under the mist and rain, the last nirvana transformed into shreds of flesh in the storm, washed away by the violent wind and rain. His sword withdrawn, Li Ren tears, which had shone brilliantly in a foreign land, came to an end. The torrential wind and rain drenched him completely. He stood in the storm, gazing towards the endless sky. Swish! Blood Trace and Blue Demon appeared simultaneously by his side, the three giants standing atop the cliff, freely welcoming the cleansing of the typhoon rainstorm. This wash washed away the blood all over them. It seemed to also wash away the endless gloom that the nine-headed snake had brought to the world. I'll go search for leftover data. Blue Demon took a deep breath. No time retreat, Lin Zaiasu said. Blue Demon suddenly looked up. In the sky, lightning and thunder. A few black dots rapidly enlarged. Missiles, Blood Trace exclaimed in shock. With a whizzing sound, 3 wing blades flew up simultaneously. Lin Zaiasu took a step. Go. A glowing branch flew over, coiling around Lin Zaiasu's waist. As it retracted, Saintess Qian Ling gracefully stood beside him. Blue Demon and Blood Trace simultaneously stepped onto the other 2 wing blades, soaring into the sky at the same time. The sonic boom shattered the rain and fog in the sky. The wing blades shot straight toward the heavens. Below, a rumbling. 3 missiles hit accurately. Nei Island turned into ruins. The wing blades soared to an altitude of 10,000 meters, the turbulent clouds rolling beneath their feet. The speed reached Mach 30 on one side of the wing blades, flying east all the way. 20 minutes later, they crossed thousands of kilometers and landed beside the South Sea. The 4 simultaneously leapt down, the wing blades piercing the air and disappearing into nothingness. They're back. Returning from the bloodstorm of Luoba State to the peaceful night of Great Daxia, Yangcheng took just 20 minutes. Blood Trace looked towards the direction where the wing blades disappeared, his heart like the waves of the South Sea, unable to calm. This operation started because of him. It was under the premise of him pursuing Beifeng and being trapped that Lin Zaiasu and Blue Demon entered Luoba State at night. During the time trapped in the Alpine Mountains, he had also thought that perhaps his life was coming to an end. Who could have imagined that he didn't reach the end? Instead, the 9-headed snake did, and they returned to the motherland with the greatest battle victory in history. Blue Demon looked at the brightly lit Yangcheng, her chest gently rising and falling. 9-headed snake, the greatest archenemy of Qianlong, is that how it met its end? She seemed still in disbelief. Blood Trace lightly smiled. I can hardly believe it either, but I fear we must believe, right, brothers? Lin Zaiasu said. This depends on what is considered as a true annihilation of an organization. If it is based on its grassroots network being uprooted, then there's only one last step left to annihilate the 9-headed snake. The last step, Blood Trace was slightly shocked. This step is... Lin Zaiasu gently lifted his hand. A hard drive appeared in his palm. Under the starlight, it was just an ordinary hard drive, with a Y mark on it. This can be considered the greatest gain from entering Luoba State this time, Lin Zaiasu said. There's reason to believe the 9-headed snake global member list is inside. Blood Trace shook immensely. The global member list. Blue Demon's eyes shone with infinite brilliance. You actually obtained the 9-headed snake's global member list. Yes, Lin Zaiasu said. This list, you take it back to headquarters. I'm afraid only headquarters has the equipment to decrypt the hard drive. Blue Demon accepted it, her face at this moment blushing like the sunset. Her mood was beyond excitement. She knew how crucial this list was. It was the true critical weapon to destroy the 9-headed snake. Eliminating the 9-headed snake's 8 heavenly kings didn't count as truly destroying the 9-headed snake. Even killing its lord didn't count as truly destroying it, but this list does. Because just as Lin Zaiasu said, this list only needs to be published under the name of Qianlong, and all 9-headed snake members would be facing a catastrophic disaster. No need for Qianlong's intervention. The citizens of their respective countries, their respective governments must act against them. Even if they have the ability to escape various sanctions, they could never stand under the sun again. The various secrets they access through their identities, the forms of discourse power they formed, would all melt into snow under the sun due to their exposed identities. This is the strategy of cutting roots. This is the last spade to uproot the foundation of the nine-headed snake. Even for the Qianlong King, Blue Demon, and Blood Trace, at this moment, they all felt a rush of blood to the brain. Lin Zaiasu gently patted her hand. Things often face the greatest crisis at the final step. Even though the headquarters have been cleaned, you still need to ensure foolproof security. At this stage, I suggest you trust only one person. Old man, Blood Trace asked. Yes, Lin Zaiasu said. Okay, I know what to do. Blood Trace nodded deeply. Blue Demon slowly raised her eyes. You said the destruction of an organization has different standards. It seems there's more to your words. Lin Zaiasu smiled. Senior sister is as sensitive as ever. I said if the standard is the downfall of the grassroots network, the only thing missing is the publication of a list, whereas generally, many people's standard for measuring the destruction of an organization is whether its highest leader is destroyed. Blue Demon's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Saintess Qianling also turned back by the seaside. Blood Trace's brow furrowed deeply. You suspect that the John Chasepur who died by your hand today is not the real Lord? Yes. What is your reasoning? 3 reasons, Lin Zaiasu said. Firstly, his method of concealing his identity is very bizarre. It seems he wants to hide himself but inadvertently leaves clues. If he was really intent on hiding, it would actually be difficult for us to find him. The 3 fell into contemplation simultaneously. Indeed, John's method of concealing his identity is very perplexing. On one hand, he did not want to hide. Those below the rank of Heavenly King had no idea who he was. Even when facing Heavenly Kings, he strictly forbade any tracing of his identity. On the other hand, he seemed to want to hide, but deliberately revealed weaknesses, such as exposing his true self in video calls with his subordinate first-class Heavenly Kings. He could have used disguise technique, which is very simple, but he didn't. He could have generated a completely fake image virtually, which is simple, but he did. When talking with these first-class Heavenly Kings, his outfit was even identical to what he wore during business negotiations 30 years ago. Is this really hiding? Isn't this a clear attempt to leave a traceable trail? The 3 were all sharp individuals, having had doubts at the moment, and their doubts grew even stronger now. Blue Demon mumbled, similar to computer's firewall. Yes, Lin Zaiasu said. This is my suspicion. I suspect this is a firewall set by the real Lord. If someone deliberately investigates the Lord's identity, they use John Chasepur as a defensive line to eliminate the trackers targeting the Lord. If it's completely hidden, others can't track it, but similarly the trackers have a hard time exposing it too. This makes sense. Blood Trace nodded lightly. What's your second reason? Lin Zaiasu said, the second reason is, several key figures weren't seen today. Which ones? For example, of the Nirvana train within Daxia, only one Baofeng was seen today. Where are the other 3? Blue Demon's heart raced. Nirvana train within Daxia. This information was passed on to him by her. Within Daxia, there's a Nirvana island that trained 4 Nirvana. Baofeng Ice Blade Qingyang Gushi. But tonight, only one Baofeng appeared. Where did the other 3 go? On missions. During such a catastrophic disaster at the nine-headed snake headquarters, their trump card weapons didn't return. If one didn't return due to some accident, that might make sense. But for 3 out of 4 not to return. Absolutely abnormal. Your suspicion is reasonable, Blood Trace said. What's your third reason? Lin Zaiasu said, there's another divine artifact I didn't see. Divine artifact, the 3 were simultaneously shocked. Does the nine-headed snake have a divine artifact? In the past, everyone would have said the wing blade. But now, of course, no one thinks so. Even if the wing blade is a divine artifact, it no longer belongs to the nine-headed snake. What does he mean? What sort of world-shattering object is he referring to? Lin Zaiasu said, there's reason to believe the venerable Hydra snake holds the Sun Lotus. Sun Lotus? Saintess Qianling stepped up beside him. Are you sure he holds the Sun Lotus? Her expression was very excited. Lin Zaiasu said, there's reason to believe. Blue Demon said, Because. Because the other day, there was a pen in Miao Yan's hand, with a sun lotus fragment hidden inside, and this pen was evidently given to him by those above, so you deduce the venerable Hydra snake holds the sun lotus. Yes. This matter is a judgment. Lin Zaiasu believes his judgment is correct. Why? Because of basic common sense. The sun lotus fragment in Miao Yan's pen was real. The sun lotus fragment was given to him by his superior, Liu Yi of the 9 Strategy Department. Who gave it to Liu Yi? Unknown. At that time, the situation was urgent, and Lin Zaiasu's sub-god skill was too low to inquire much further. Later, the few people he questioned using his half-baked divine control skill all became idiots, unable to say anything, and the trail broke off here. However, it can be confirmed that this was given to him by the high authorities of the 9-headed snake. To give him a sun lotus fragment, one could deduce that the high authorities of the 9-headed snake have the sun lotus. What is the sun lotus? Ranked even higher than the moon lotus. The moon lotus is long held by the ancestor hall master, regarded as a holy artifact. How could the sun lotus not be controlled by the venerable Hydra snake? Anyone in possession of a divine artifact would use it when their life is threatened. For instance, today, if this John Chasepore had the sun lotus, he certainly would have used it. Whether or not it would have turned the tables in front of Lin Zaiasu is another matter. The key is he certainly would have used it. But he didn't use it. He lost his life. This can only indicate one thing. He didn't have the sun lotus in his possession. Therefore, by reverse reasoning, he is actually not the real Lord. Chapter 492. Chapter 492. The 8th Heavenly Star Tier. Blue Demon exhaled deeply. You laid out 3 reasons like that, convincing me. It effectively held back the surge of blood rushing to my head. Lin Zaiasu smiled. It's really unnecessary 9-headed snake. We should consider it already gone. Blue Demon's eyes shimmered. Because its foundation is already in our hands, as long as we dig out its roots, even if the Lord is still around, it will no longer be the venerable Hydra snake, at most just an individual with transcendent abilities, right? Senior sister, you've understood. We have to leave, Blue Demon said, her gaze shifting to the Qianlong flying car gliding low in the sky. Okay, Lin Zaiasu uttered a single word meanwhile. A wisp of sound wormed into her ear through secret transmission. Blue Demon's eyes widened suddenly. The flying car landed, Blood Trace entered the car. Blue Demon gave Lin Zaiasu a deep glance, and also entered the flying car. The car soared away, the quiet seaside, waves gently lapping. The Saintess of 1,000 Spirits turned her gaze slowly. Aren't we going to use Wing Blade to return to your hometown? Lin Zaiasu blinked her eyes. We don't have a wing blade, we can only take the high-speed train. The Saintess of 1,000 Spirits chuckled softly. Stop pretending to be mysterious. I've been observing from the side these days. I've already noticed, you're not honest with Qianlong at all. You blatantly appropriated the wing blade, and you still dare to blink innocently. What do you mean by playing innocent? I'm originally innocent, Lin Zaiasu said. Wing blades now have sentience, they are very opinionated. In Luoba State, they saw me pitiful and came to help me. Don't roll your eyes at me, what I'm saying is true. Yes, times have changed. Even ancient puppets have evolved a sense of loyalty. The Saintess of 1,000 Spirits pouted. Let's go, let's buy tickets, by the way. I've come to Daxia with you, basically with nothing, not a single penny from now on. You'll have to support me. No problem, I'll support you. Lin Zaiasu patted her chest. This mission earned me 30 million, not to mention supporting just you. Even if you bring all your sisters, I can support you all. Purchased the tickets, boarded the train, straight to Huanggang East Station. Meanwhile, at the Qianlong headquarters, the decision-making department was stirring an earth-shattering storm. Blood Trace King returned safely. Upon reporting to the decision-making department, thunderous shock. The 6 great kings of 9-headed snake collectively perished. Last night's battle, the venerable Hydra snake died at Ney Island. One by one, each word was like a tidal wave of 10 miles. Even more explosive was his last sentence. I brought back a hard drive, theoretically containing 9-headed snake's global member list, needs immediate decryption. The Great Strategy Department slammed the table. Good, immediately send it to the first department. Blood Trace King walked in the middle holding the hard drive, flanked by red flags. Entering the first department, all personnel were on full alert, all computers were thoroughly checked. 7 computer experts sat down simultaneously, and the Brain King himself executed the decryption command. Behind them, the 3 great kings were on guard, with Jing Lei prominently included. Everyone knew that the data on this hard drive involved the top secret of 9-headed snake, related to the outcome of decades of rivalry between Qianlong and their old foe 9-headed snake. Absolutely cannot afford any mistakes, hence the unprecedented level of vigilance. No one expected, meanwhile, a guard entered Chief Long's office. The guard's face eerily changed. Blue Demon appeared in front of Chief Long. She raised her hand. A hard drive appeared in her palm. "Old man, don't blame me for performing this double act with blood trace. It's really of great importance. We have to be cautious." Chief Long nodded lightly. "I've cut off all physical connections from my computer. This office is yours. Decrypt it yourself." By Tashan Lake, it was already sunset. The small wooden house purchased by the Saintess of Thousand Spirits lay quietly asleep under the sunset. Over 4 months without inhabitants, the yard had already grown grass, presenting a desolate atmosphere. However, as the Saintess of Thousand Spirits strolled through, the grass in the yard inexplicably gained an aesthetic sense. The grass remained, yet it seemed to have undergone some kind of meticulous trimming, showcasing a beauty. She walked ahead. Lin Ziasu followed. As she moved forward, the yard gradually changed. Light flickered in Lin Ziasu's eyes. Was this the marvelous use of wood rules, enabling the natural great Tao to unfurl unnoticed at one's feet? The tea leaves were initially a bit damp, but as the hand of the Saintess of Thousand Spirits brushed over the tea canister, the dampness naturally dissipated. A pot of water boiled. The brewed tea soup was clear, slightly green, resembling fresh tea. The lights came on. Lin Ziasu and she sat on the platform. In front of them, the Tashan lights were shining. "The 9-headed snake list will be announced soon," said the Saintess of Thousand Spirits. "Isn't that so?" "Yes." Lin Ziasu raised the teacup. "When I parted with Blue Demon, she privately asked me a question." "What?" "She asked me, if the Naren's family appears on the list, should it be erased?" "Naren's family?" "The family of the flesh-body Catherine of the Saintess of Thousand Spirits, her grandfather, is the current head of the Naren's family. And the Naren's family, in everyone's estimation, is almost certainly on that list. If the list is made public, those on it would be directly exposed, leaving no room for negotiation." However, Blue Demon and Blood Trace offered the Saintess of Thousand Spirits a choice. Because in this critical operation, the Saintess of Thousand Spirits was a key figure. She was a contributor in this major upheaval. Even if Qianlong King upheld principles, they felt that they couldn't let a hero's heart grow cold. Her involvement shouldn't lead to her entire family paying a heavy price. The Saintess of Thousand Spirits lifted her gaze. "You say this was a suggestion from Blue Demon King to you?" "It was a joint suggestion by her and Blood Trace King." The Saintess of Thousand Spirits smiled lightly. "And your response?" "I said, I'll ask you," Lin Ziasu replied. "If you say erase, then we erase. If you don't care, then let it be." The Saintess of Thousand Spirits' eyes sparkled. "Why would you think? There is a possibility that I don't care." In normal circumstances, someone from a family would certainly care about their family. Yet in Lin Ziasu's options, there was an "if you don't care." This seemingly ordinary sentence touched a sensitive chord within Saintess Qian Ling. Lin Ziasu raised his gaze. "Because I don't know whether a person's physical body carries some kind of legacy mark that I don't understand, or if it's just because of the bloodline that their flesh seeks a strange kinship with a group of people." An enormous wave surged within Saintess Qian Ling's heart. If the earlier words were mere clues, this sentence practically laid all the cards on the table. Physical body, bloodline, inexplicable kinship with a group of people. Has he already discovered her true identity? Saintess Qian Ling took a deep breath. "Can I use this choice to exchange for something else?" "Exchange for what?" "For your honest encounter." Lin Ziasu laughed. "I've been waiting for your honest encounter all along." Saintess Qian Ling's gaze fell upon the Tashan Lake before her, which was sinking deeper into the night. She reached out for the teacup on the table, only to find it already empty. She reached out her hand, picked up the teapot on the table, and poured herself a cup. Her mind slowly calmed, and she slowly lifted her head. "How much do you really know about me?" "What I know about you is just a legend originating from Catherine," Lin Ziasu said. "Saintess Qian Ling, the holy daughter of the spirit clan, guarded the mighty pass for the human clan, suffered severe injuries, and was forced to become a remnant. This is the trump card. The trump card was completely revealed in one sentence. He clearly knew that the Catherine in front of him was no longer Catherine. She was a remnant who had taken her body. Saintess Kyan Ling asked, "When did you find out I was Catherine?" "I was right there when you took over Catherine," Lin Zaiasu said. "You can see the primordial spirit." "That's just my meal ticket. My eyes are somewhat special." "His eyes somewhat special. That's why he's a detective." Saintess Kyan Ling lifted her gaze. "You saw your adventure partner being taken over right in front of you, and you remained indifferent. Why do I feel? This doesn't seem like your style." He had fought alongside Lin Zaiasu several times. She knew that Lin Zaiasu would protect his comrades thoroughly, preferring to be injured himself rather than letting his comrades get hurt. Yet he watched as his comrade was taken over. At that time, Saintess Kyan Ling had just taken over and was not familiar with this body at all. If he had struck decisively then, there was a chance to turn the tables. Lin Zaiasu laughed. "You would never have guessed that if Catherine had not died by your hands, she would certainly have perished by mine. Between her and me, only one could see beyond Lao Mountain." "Is that so?" Saintess Kyan Ling's heart pounded. She had deciphered Catherine's consciousness, but only the factual parts that had already transpired, whereas Catherine's schemes against Lin Zaiasu had automatically been ignored by her as they had not yet come to fruition. "She had already made a move against me. It was that protective visor. If you hadn't taken over her, right outside that blood coffin was when she would have launched a fatal strike. There was no way I could have spared her life," Lin Zaiasu said. "So, Saintess, you and I have never been enemies. We started as allies." "Never became enemies. Started as allies. The first person Saintess Kyan Ling killed upon rising out of the ground was his enemy." This sentence blew away all the gloom. Saintess Kyan Ling laughed, her smile far-reaching and exceptionally clear. Lin Zaiasu also laughed, raising his hand gently. A dewdrop appeared at his fingertip. "This is the 8th heavenly star tier." Saintess Kyan Ling lightly lifted her finger, gently touched his, and this heavenly star tier transferred from his fingertip to her being, her primordial spirit as I, perceiving the changes within him. Atop the blood tower, 7 bone stars. The skin heavenly stars he gifted to Saintess Kyan Ling numbered 8. But there were only 7 bone stars, because one of them had been used to save Chang Yi. This was his flaw within the heavenly Tao. Saintess Kyan Ling sighed lightly. "You're getting ever closer to the pinnacle of cultivation." "Yes, probably in a month at most, I will have reached the end. That will mark the emergence of the 9th skin heavenly star. That will see the lighting up of the 8th bone star within him, leaving that eternal regret atop his blood tower. The vastness of cultivation knows no bounds. How many regrets end mid-journey?" Saintess Kyan Ling lay back slowly on the recliner, gazing beyond the firmament. "Regrets are not limited to the path of cultivation. Indeed, where in life is there without regret?" Lin Zaiasu also lay down slowly. "1,000 years adrift, returning to find both things and people altered. What sort of feeling is that? Loneliness, a loneliness never experienced before. The road past, I did not accompany you. On the lofty cultivation path ahead, I likely can't accompany you either. In these few days by the beautiful Tashan Lake, I will accompany you. Starlight like water, quietly laying over Tashan. Quietly laying over the small town. The lake water gently rippled, a few yellow leaves on the lake. Upon the platform, the two lay on recliners, slowly drifting into dreams. Chapter 493. Chapter 493. Huya comes home from meat. Lin Zaiasu spent 3 days at Tashan Lake with Saintess Kyan Ling. No wars. No stories. Only calm and pleasant autumn days. On the platform, Saintess Kyan Ling played the zither, Lin Zaiasu played the flute. The zither played without spiritual energy, the flute played without true qi. The melody from the ancient spirit clan. The flute, a crystallization of thousands of years of Daxia wisdom. The ancient and the modern merge here. Male and female, seamlessly united here. Lin Zaiasu seemed truly to fulfill his promise. "I never accompanied you in the past. I can't accompany you in the future. Today you I will accompany." At this moment when she regained her identity as Saintess Kyan Ling. At this point where she abandoned this body's belonging, coming to a foreign land. He slowly acquainted her with the surrounding mountains, the earth beneath their feet, the customs and scenery of this world, and they gradually grew familiar with each other. Until the fourth day, a world-shattering event began on the internet. Qianlong of Daxia releases Nine-Headed Snake Global Member List. Names on the list, more than 183,000 people, covering 186 countries worldwide. Within Daxia, 28,652 people. Before the list was released, the vast majority of these people had already been captured. The capture itself had caused a stir in certain circles, arousing suspicion. When the list was released, people compared it, coupled with the inexplicable arrests of some individuals in the past 2 days, suddenly realized. It turned out the Qianlong operation had already begun 2 days ago. A large-scale roundup of 9-headed snake members within Daxia took place. Only at this moment is the list published. The target is no longer just Daxia, but the entire world. This list is accessible to anyone on the internet, available for anyone to download. Not just a list, but details of what Nine-Headed Snake had those people do, the time, place, key individuals. Gene experiments, human experiments, virus experiments, toppling a nation's political scene, planning a revolution, instigating wars. The world's evil is countless. There's none that Nine-Headed Snake hasn't involved itself in. The Western political arena was stirred, as many long-term stalwarts are on this list. Corporations were shocked to discover that key departments and secret research institutions were filled with Nine-Headed Snake members. The public was outraged, as victims of every Nine-Headed Snake action have always been the people. Numerous protests started almost simultaneously. Protesters held high flags, with a vicious snake 9 heads, blood dripping from its mouth. Striking slogans were everywhere, "Clear out the Nine-Headed Snake." Those Nine-Headed Snake members in high positions felt ice cold all over. They knew clearly they were finished. If it were just a list, they could argue. But there was an abundance of evidence within. Every event had a clear chain of evidence. They felt freezing cold, unable to understand how Qianlong had grasped these secret documents. Now things have developed to this point. Even if they had vast resources and robust networks, it was utterly futile because the world is a dark jungle. In the political arena, political opponents existed. Around the conglomerates, other conglomerates lay in wait. Political opponents rode the wave of popular sentiment, crushing Nine-Headed Snake-controlled political approval rates down to single digits, even near zero. Conglomerates used every means to crazily devour the Chaseper, leading third-largest conglomerate. Enterprises swiftly cleared out all Nine-Headed Snake members, for no corporation not controlled by Nine-Headed Snake would willingly let them infiltrate their territory. Some super-rich victims of Nine-Headed Snake even offered bounties, directly seeking Nine-Headed Snake members' heads. On the black market and underground hunting grounds, countless iconic scenes emerged. The very ancient bounty hunters reappeared. The target was the heads of Nine-Headed Snake members, exchanging heads for money. There are signs that this list is indeed a swift, underlying blow to the organization of Nine-Headed Snake, existing for decades or even centuries, a truly destructive blow. The outside world was in turmoil. The instigator Lin Zaiasu returned home. As he walked the mountain path below Liu Lin Temple, he stopped, raised his hand, and made a phone call. At a certain southwest base, Huya was training with Zhu Ying, suddenly performed a flip, landed on the platform behind, extended her hand, dragon eye in hand, and with dragon eye now on, her joyful expression was unmasked. "Miss me?" Lin Zaiasu's lazy voice came over the phone. "Got some time?" "Training is busy, but I can surely squeeze out some time for eating, drinking, and having fun." Upon saying this, Zhu Ying's face showed an indescribable expression. "Li Dayandian, oh Li Dayandian, how did you become Qianlong Gold Medal 49? Did you bluff your way in, or muddle your way through? How do I feel like you're still out of step with the Qianlong Gold Medal? What does it mean to have time for food, drink, and fun?" Huya paid no mind to how her former superior looked at her. She felt an inner excitement. The voice over the phone didn't let her down. Lin Zaiasu said, "All right, come back for some meat." Upon hearing this, Huya's face flushed. "Where to?" "Liu Lin Temple." "Give me 3 hours." Huya took off the dragon eye, leaped down, landing in front of Zhu Ying. "Sis, I'm going home." Now, was the person on the other end your childhood sweetheart surnamed Lin? "Yeah." Zhu Ying lightly shook her head, wanting to delve a bit into the topic, but in the end, she swallowed the ambiguous thoughts that weren't suitable to explore further. She spoke a rather orthodox warning. A big operation is coming up soon. Take it easy and stay in good shape to handle the upcoming battle. Don't worry, I'll be in prime condition when I return. Huya shrugged off her clothes and valiantly left the training field. Zhu Ying stayed put, questioning life. Your childhood friend calls you over for some meat, and you're this excited. Why do I suspect you're not returning for meat, but offering yourself up for him to devour? With you guys playing around like this, how can I believe that you'll be in the best condition when you return? Though it's said that Qianlong doesn't forbid men and women from getting intimate, it's widely known that such affairs affect one's condition. Affecting the speed of drawing a knife, affecting the force of a strike, even affecting accurate judgment. She wouldn't have imagined that, while some of her assumptions about romantic side stories were correct, others were mistaken. The correct aspect, the eating meat mentioned by Hu Ye and Lin Ziaosu over the phone indeed holds another meaning. The incorrect aspect, Zhu Ying's assumption of eating meat was way off. In fact, the eating meat in Lin Ziaosu and Hu Ye's conversation was very straightforward. It even became a milestone-like pivotal moment in Hu Ye's battle readiness. Her constitution is swallowing heaven without leakage. She needs 5 elements meat. Earlier, with Lin Ziaosu's help, she consumed 4 elements, only missing the fire element. Without the full circle of 5 elements, the first stage of swallowing heaven without leakage can't be fulfilled. So Huya dreams of eating some fire element meat. Unfortunately, where can one find fire element spirit meat in the mortal world? But today, Lin Ziaosu called her, mentioned going home to eat meat, and she sensitively realized he found fire element meat. Once she eats the fire element meat, the first stage of swallowing heaven without leakage reaches great perfection. She will enter the next battle with renewed strength. So she said she would be in her best state upon her return. This statement was surprisingly accurate. The flying car swept across the sky, approaching home. Huya's initial excitement and thrill gradually faded and unruly thoughts emerged. Taoist Lu Yun's words surfaced in her mind. Before achieving the 5 elements full circle, you can't do that thing, otherwise it's broken. But after achieving the full circle, you must do that thing, otherwise there's no way to use heaven and earth as a cauldron. The sun had already set in the west. The flying car landed on the top of Dangjia Mountain. Huya rose and descended the mountain, ducking into a pharmacy where a chubby old lady eyed her up and down. "Girl, what medicine do you want to buy?" Ahem. Huya glanced around, finding no one, leaned forward and whispered her request. The old lady smiled and fetched a box of medicine from the shelf. Throughout the process, Huya's face was flushed. After getting the medicine, she didn't linger for a moment and quickly slipped away in the shadows of the street. Half an hour later, she stepped into Liu Lin Temple. At this moment, it was exactly 3 hours since Lin Ziaosu's call. The sky was completely dark. The chilly wind couldn't blow away the blush on Huya's face. Inside the Taoist temple, the hearth was burning bright. An unusual aroma not of this world wafted from the pot. Lin Ziaosu looked up from the stove, smiling gently at Huya. "Your dad went down the mountain to meet your mom at the bridge." Huya felt a touch of mind synchronization, her eyes twinkling. "So, are you planning to meet me at the bridge as well?" Ahem, Lin Ziaosu's throat itched a bit. "How about some fish?" He unveiled the pot in front of himself. Inside was a simmering pot of red meat. Crimson meat, crimson broth. Just judging by the color, most people probably wouldn't dare to dig in. Huya picked up the chopsticks, clutching a piece. "Is this fish?" "Crimson scale," Lin Ziaosu replied. "It's the kind of fish that treats the magma lake as a swimming pool." "Wow, it's even tougher than me," Huya exclaimed and started munching. Crimson scale meat, carrying the spiciness of underground magma, the unique aroma of ancient times and an extraordinary pulse, entered Huya's body, and her whole body seemed stirred instantly. Lin Ziaosu accompanied her by eating a few pieces, watching her intently. Under the heavenly Tao wisdom eye, there was a change within Huya. The skin color on her body seemed to be shifting, sometimes green, sometimes red, sometimes white, sometimes silver. The scene was very strange. Huya closed her eyes, and her breathing seemed to stop completely for an instant. Lin Ziaosu's breath also halted, watching her nervously. Observing her gentle tremors all over, seeing the skin color flickering like a carousel. Finally, the skin color slowly faded away, leaving no brightly colored hues. Only a pure white like jade. On her jade-like skin, there seemed to be an additional layer of hazy dew-like light. This layer of hazy dew-like light appeared faintly and felt mysteriously visible. Lin Zaiasu suddenly felt an odd sensation. He thought Huya had shed the marks of hardship from the past year and become a beauty, as if emerged from the celestial bath. Huya let out a gentle breath and slowly opened her eyes. Her eyes carried endless delight. "Did it work?" Lin Zaiasu asked. "My whole body feels incredibly translucent," Huya replied. "It worked." "Congratulations," Lin Zaiasu smiled. "Give me a hug," Huya dove into his arms. Moreover, she didn't let go, lifting her face to say more. "Hey, searching all over the world for these meats was hard work, wasn't it?" "Absolutely." "Wanna share a kiss?" After these words were out, Huya's face was full of blush. "Well, there's nothing else, nothing to do when idle." Chapter 494. Chapter 494. Can't hold back anymore. One had a mind for plotting, while the other had nothing better to do, so the result progressed smoothly. At the final moment, Huya was very anxious. Her physique was special. She was basically invulnerable to blades and bullets. She had a long-standing worry, could he really get in? At this moment, the atmosphere was also just right. The shackles of her cultivation were also lifted. The body was also truly at its limit of endurance. But could he really manage it? Or rather, could she really manage it? On the little bed at the back, often used by her dad, her worries suddenly vanished. As she experienced a feeling she had never felt before, Huya got excited. In her excitement, there was a soft cracking sound. Lin Zaiasu's heavenly Tao wisdom eye pierced through the night, seeing a crack on the blue stone, his heart filled with emotion. Fortunately, this bed had a mat laid directly on the blue stone, otherwise the bed would have collapsed. If Uncle knew he did that with his daughter and even broke the bed, his expression would be quite something. An hour, 2 hours. Huya shouted out and exclaimed deeply, "Oh my God, this feeling is too much. No wonder your little Yi was reluctant to leave." My little Yi. My little Yi didn't get such treatment. Lin Zaiasu said, "According to Taoist Lu Yun, you should now enter the new realm of breaking the mortal body, welcoming the pot of heaven and earth. Do you need to meditate in retreat?" According to Taoist Lu Yun, before her 5 elements were complete, she couldn't lose her virginity. Otherwise, the mystical pot of heaven and earth would leak. After 5 elements were complete, she must lose her virginity. Otherwise, the heaven and earth could not function as a pot. Now the 5 elements were complete. She had also broken her virginity. It's time to retreat for cultivation. With a flip of her hand, Huya pinned him down. Meditation and retreat. No such thing. I don't understand cultivation. You rest first, take a break, then we'll continue. A short break, then continue. Huya forgot where she was, forgot what time it was. Finally, just before dawn, she fell into a deep sleep. When she got up, Lin Zaiasu was already boiling water. Huya casually dressed in front of him and opened a small bag she brought, taking out a strip of medicine. Seeing the medicine, Lin Zaiasu's eyes widened. "You already prepared the medicine when you went up the mountain yesterday." Huya felt wronged. "I knew I couldn't escape your claws, so I prepared it in advance." "Damn, I'll have your dad arbitrate. And you talk about my claws while you even prepared medicine beforehand." Level 1 warning. Huya was anxious. "You are not allowed to tell my dad. Your dad is already halfway up the mountain, and if he suddenly sees you appear with a radiant face, he could probably imagine it with his not-so-dim-witted brain," Lin Zaiasu said. Huya said, "Don't tell him I was back. I'll withdraw now." Quickly tidying up her clothes. Lin Zaiasu was dumbfounded. "You're already home, only 100 meters away from your dad, and you're not even going in." "Came home specifically for this. Did it and left." Quickly tidy up the bedding. Huya left a sentence and flipped down the cliff. That flip made Lin Zaiasu's heart jump. Under his heavenly Tao wisdom eye, he clearly saw the strange airflow around Huya. This was the external manifestation of her stepping into a new realm. Now just how formidable was she? Soon he saw it. Huya descended in the air, basically in a free fall, and landed firmly at the bottom of the 10-meter-high cliff. Upon landing, the stone under her feet cracked with countless seams. Swish! She disappeared. This speed of disappearance. Even Lin Zaiasu was taken aback. With such prowess, if she were his enemy, he would need to muster all his strength. Now could she be back to how she was back then, fighting even more fiercely than him? There was no time to think about this. He had to quickly tidy up the bedding. When he arrived at the back bedroom and saw the mess on the bed, the deep red plum blossom on the sheets, and several large patches of water stains, Linzayasu almost scratched his head. He quickly stretched out his hand, grabbed the sheets, and dashed out of the cave to wash them in a nearby pond. Just as he finished washing the plum blossom petals, Uncle's voice came from behind. "Are you washing the sheets?" Linzayasu looked up. "Uncle, honestly, how long has it been since you washed these sheets? How can you even sleep?" Uncle scratched his head, feeling very embarrassed. Meanwhile, at the Fengcheng Detective Agency, the agency greeted another autumn dawn. With clear skies and no clouds for miles, the lazy sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling glass doors, spilling onto the freshly mopped floor. The reflected light shone across the faces of two beautiful women. It had to be said, Josai's beauty was increasing day by day. Even Miao Rulan, who was never known for her looks, now carried a charm in her every move. Josai sat in front of the computer, propping her chin and watching Miao Rulan, who was seriously reading files, with a genuine curiosity. Sister Lan is looking better and better. Is it because the rejuvenation skill is getting deeper, or because she is constantly being nourished by men? Miao Rulan, seemingly having a mysterious sixth sense, sensed Josai's inquisitive gaze and raised her eyes. "What's up?" Josai said, "I'm just wondering why can't I ever get into Dakongshuan?" Indeed, Dakongshuan, Miao Rulan can do it. Jomei can do it, but Josai couldn't even make a start. Miao Rulan taught Josai everything Lin Ziasu had taught her, without holding back. But after half a month of effort, Josai achieved nothing. This question was difficult for Miao Rulan to answer. Could she tell Josai that both she and Mei's Dakongshuan were discovered by Lin Ziasu, grasping their fat rabbits? Just as she was about to rack her brains again, and emphasize to Josai the basic rules of cultivating ancient martial arts, Josai suddenly shouted. Pointing at the computer screen, she shouted, "This! How is this possible?" "What?" Miao Rulan jumped up in alarm. Josai's finger trembled uncontrollably. "Sister Lan, come quickly, count how many zeros there are." Miao Rulan quickly moved behind Josai, and upon seeing the transaction record in front of her, her heart stopped beating for a moment. My God, so many zeros. 7 zeros before the decimal point, and there's a 4 in front. 40 million. Miao Rulan's voice suddenly lowered. "I've counted several times, it's really 40 million, Josai said. 101 transferred 40 million. Brother Lin, what did he do?" Transfers were already commonplace for Fengcheng Detective Agency. However, the transfer amounts were always shocking, but most had never reached 8 digits before the decimal point. Today it did. And not starting with a 1 but a 4 million. Did they take down the 9-headed snake completely? Miao Rulan was half-mouthed, with no reaction for a moment. Sister Lan, the global list of 9-headed snake was announced yesterday, and the 40 million reward arrived today. Josai said, "I really suspect this enormous feat was achieved by our brother Lin." I also kind of suspect." Miao Rulan let out a long breath. "The secret that 9-headed snake hides so deeply, if anyone could find it, they might be the world's strongest detective." Her gaze suddenly lifted, staring at the street outside. Josai's gaze also lifted, springing up. Brother Lin is back. When Lin Ziasu stepped into the detective agency, the two women stood on either side. Their cheeks were flushed, and their expressions were somewhat peculiar. "Is this a welcome lineup?" Lin Ziasu laughed. Miao Rulan woke up, pouring tea. Josai approached. "Brother Lin, you've become a millionaire." And 101 transferred again. Lin Ziasu was very sensitive. "How much?" 40 million. Lin Ziasu's heart also skipped a beat. "Million." Calculating at 5 million for each of the 6 great kings, that's 30 million. What's the other 10 million for? The pile of information he brought back. Or the reward for saving the Blood Trace King? Lin Ziasu didn't need to consider these. He only needed to understand the article behind this pile of money, which told him that the events that happened in Luoba State had passed Qianlong's authentication, including the identities of the great kings. "Rulan, we've made a fortune again. How much bonus should we give to Josai?" Miao Rulan's cheeks were blushing. "You decide. Let's give a symbolic 1 million as a bonus because honestly, we can't give too much. This girl seems to be ready to run away any moment, if by chance she gets rich and really runs away. That day, Josei seemed a bit clueless. Having received a $1 million reward, she didn't run over to Li Fang, providing a relaxed environment for the bosses. It's not that she didn't want to go, but she didn't dare. Li Fang had begun to change. Since finding out that Lin Zaiasu, the boss, gave Josei a bracelet worth 200,000, she looked at her own boss more and more unfavorably, already contemplating entering the detective agency. If she knew Lin Zaiasu casually gave his employee a $1 million reward, wouldn't she go crazy? Wouldn't that just be handing Brother Lin the opportunity? Wouldn't that be causing trouble for Sister Lan? Li Fang was both crazy and promiscuous. If she set her mind on seducing someone, few men could resist. To avoid causing Sister Lan trouble, Josei shouldered all the pressure herself. What pressure? The physiological pressure that's hard for a young lady to endure. At night, she covered her head, trying not to use her exceptional sixth senses to catch any movements in the neighboring room. But as she covered herself, her curiosity got the better of her, and she couldn't help but channel true qi into her ears. Once she did that, it was a big deal. She heard Sister Lan's muffled moans, and even heard the solid sound of pulling up radishes from the muddy ground, a sound like ants crawling all over her heart. That night Sister Lan slept very soundly in the latter half, but Josei was boiling hot all over, unable to sleep. Several days in a row, Josei entered a very strange state. She was both excited and exhausted. The excitement was mental, the exhaustion was physical. At night she was very nervous, yet also very expectant. She always forced herself not to listen to the movements next door, but she couldn't help it. The fifth day, Lin Zaiasu received a call from Blue Demon. Blue Demon told him on the phone that she had arrived in Fengcheng and was strolling at the Yishui waterfront. Lin Zaiasu sprang up, left the detective agency, and went to the Yishui waterfront. Under the autumn sunset, Yishui waterfront was a scene of residual redness, shining the chrysanthemums on the shore into a dreamy haze. In the small pavilion, Blue Demon's hair carried a light blue tint mixed with the glow of the setting sun, and she gently turned her head with a slight smile. "How have you been spending this time?" Quite comfortably, Lin Zaiasu walked into the pavilion and sat beside her. "Did the money arrive?" "It did," Lin Zaiasu smiled. "Finally fulfilling the initial goal, the savings for a wife, it's enough." "What, planning to lie down and take it easy?" Blue Demon cast a sidelong glance. Chapter 495. Chapter 495, Where the Spear Points, Qianlong War God. To be honest, at this point, a normal person can indeed just lie down and relax. Lin Zaiasu stretched his legs comfortably. As for assets, his personal account was already approaching 30 million. As for missions, the ultimate rival, the nine-headed snake, had been taken down. Regarding cultivation, anyway, he had already been sentenced to death by the Saintess Qian Ling. In terms of feelings, reasoning, money, and the current situation, it seemed to be the time for him to lie low and retire. However, Blue Demon wasn't having it. "No way, if you think like that, the money in your account is enough to support 10 wives, but you only have 10 wives. You haven't reached the time to lie down yet. You need to keep striving." "What the heck, more than 10 wives? If not 10, you can make up for it." Lin Zaiasu glared at her. "So, you came specifically to tell me to keep striving?" "All right, I'm not joking. The reason I came here this time is to ask you one question." Blue Demon's expression turned serious, stepping out from her previous playful demeanor. The lightness on Lin Zaiasu's face also disappeared, because Blue Demon's response itself represented a serious topic. She was someone who had the dragon eye. She was also, of course, someone who had a phone. For casual matters, phone communication. For confidential matters, communicate through the dragon eye. Theoretically, there is nothing in the world that can't be solved over the phone, yet she chose to abandon phone consultation and traveled all the way to Fengcheng. This could only mean one thing, that what she wanted to talk about was extremely confidential. Even the dragon eye was not trustworthy. Blue Demon leaned forward slightly, her voice drifting into his ear. "After returning from the South Sea by the side of Luoba State, why did you use a secret transmission to tell me that sentence?" "On that day, returning from Luoba State, beside the South Sea." Lin Zaiasu presented his biggest gain from the trip. That hard drive, after handing it to Blue Demon and Blood Trace, he had told Blue Demon one sentence through secret transmission. Upon hearing this sentence, a turmoil had surged in Blue Demon's mind. Due to the urgency to return at the time, and also because there were others present, regardless of whether the Blood Trace King and Saintess Kyan Ling were outsiders, she was not in a position to delve deeply into it. Now, once she finished her tasks, she came over specifically, only because the impact of this sentence was incredibly strong. The sentence was only 4 words: beware of Jing Lei. Jing Lei, the ultimate king of Qianlong. Jing Lei, known as the Super King who stabilizes the world when he appears. If you divided Qianlong into several eras, this era could almost be called the Jing Lei era. Yet Lin Ziasu told her to beware of Jing Lei. Lin Ziasu's gaze slowly moved past the Yishui River, which was darkening under the setting sun, and slowly fell on her face. First, tell me, what strange moves has he shown? No strange moves, Blue Demon said. Blood Trace and I acted separately. Blood Trace took a fake hard drive into the decision-making department, while I took the real hard drive into the Chief Long's office. There was a lot of commotion on their side, with the red flag involved in the escort, the Brain King personally decrypting, and Jing Lei, Blood Trace, and Zhu Feng, 3 great kings, were on site to guard and personally witnessed the futile decryption of that worthless hard drive. In other words, he still made a move, Lin Ziasu said. He didn't take real action simply because that hard drive was a fake. And on your side, once the real hard drive was decrypted, it was immediately released, leaving him no chance to act. Blue Demon said, you still think he's a traitor? Lin Ziasu raised his gaze, not answering. Blue Demon sighed lightly. Tell me your reasoning and basis. Lin Ziasu smiled slightly. Actually, a long time ago, I began to have doubts about him, because I suddenly realized that whenever we truly needed this ultimate king, he was always busy, and to be blunt, I personally feel the things he was busy with were not of significant value. For example, sealing Kun Kang, Blue Demon said. Yes, facing Kun Kang, it was actually the most top-notch battle ever, and even if all the Qianlong kings were mobilized, they wouldn't be enough. Yet Blood Trace couldn't convince Jing Lei, the ultimate king, to join. Just based on that, it's not enough, Blue Demon said. Lin Ziasu said, indeed, so during that entry to the headquarters, during my first meeting with Jing Lei, I laid a trap for him. A trap? Blue Demon was shocked. Lin Ziasu's entry to the headquarters was at her and Chang Yi's special invitation. She had seen with her own eyes every step he took inside the headquarters, including the posture he slept in. There was no one else as aware as she was. Their interaction with Jing Lei was actually just for a moment, with no more than 3 sentences exchanged. He actually laid a trap for Jing Lei. Yes, Lin Ziasu nodded. Blue Demon asked, how did you set the trap, and what kind of trap was it? Lin Ziasu said, at that time, I questioned Liu Yi from the 9 Strategy Department and learned the name Kai Qin from the 2nd Strategy Department. Chief Long ordered Jing Lei to immediately arrest Kai Qin and bring her in. I left the half-questioned Liu Yi and followed along, remember. I witnessed everything with my own eyes, how could I not remember? Blue Demon said, and then. Kai Qin from the 2nd Strategy Department played a little trick. He used the latest holographic projection technology to create a fake version of himself, chatting idly with Jing Lei there, while the real him was preparing to escape in a hurry. Blue Demon's heart was pounding. Do you mean that Jing Lei, as the first king, should have seen through this disguise, and he spent too much time talking nonsense with Kai Qin intentionally to create an opportunity for Kai Qin to escape? Is that right? What do you think? Did he see through this holographic projection? Lin Ziasu countered. Not necessarily at all, Blue Demon said. This is the latest technology from Qianlong, I couldn't see through it, and Jing Lei's vision may not be better than mine. Even if he really didn't see through it, it would be normal. So I dug a pit for him. Lin Ziasu smiled faintly. A pit? The term came up again. Blue Demon said, where exactly is your pit? Lin Ziasu said, without a word, I made a piece of shrapnel skim past Jing Lei's ear, aiming directly at Kai Qin's brow. Blue Demon's brows tightened abruptly. This was your handling at the time, but I still can't see how this is a pit. Lin Ziasu smiled and said, let me explain it to you in detail. This pit was a question, a multiple-choice question that Lin Ziasu posed to Jing Lei. There wasn't much time to think. It tested the most instinctive reaction. Jing Lei faced Kai Qin's holographic projection with 2 possibilities. The first is that he saw through it. The second is that he did not see through it. If it's the first, He saw through Kai Chin's holographic projection and still wasted time talking nonsense to the fake Kai Chin. Then it's definitely creating an opportunity for Kai Chin to escape. The conclusion drawn from that, there's something wrong with Jing Lei. What if it's the second? If Jing Lei indeed didn't see through it? Just as Blue Demon said, not seeing through it is actually normal. After all, it's the latest technology from Qianlong. Even Blue Demon couldn't see through it. Who can ensure Jing Lei definitely can? You need to know, the skills Jing Lei is famous for across the world are not vision. No one stipulated that the person with the first combat strength must also have the first vision. However, Lin Ziaosu dug a pit for him. He used a piece of shattered glass, employing the killing technique of Dakongxuan, targeting directly Kai Chin's brow. Jing Lei might not be number one in vision, but his combat strength and reactive ability are well known. Can you not notice something skimming by your ear using Dakongxuan's move? Can you not see that Kai Chin's brow is a target? Can you not deduce that this piece of glass could directly take Kai Chin's life? You, as the first king, are under strict orders from Chief Long. Capture Kai Chin alive. And you just watch Kai Chin being killed right under your nose. So if Jing Lei couldn't see through Kai Chin's holographic projection, the only correct option when Lin Ziaosu sent a shard of glass skimming by his ear using Dakongxuan's method was to intercept this piece of glass. And Jing Lei didn't intercept. Let the glass pierce through Kai Chin's brow. The dignified first king, could he make such a basic mistake? After Lin Ziaosu explained everything, Blue Demon finally caught up with his pace. Her face changed. Could it be that Jing Lei really wished to see Lin Ziaosu kill Kai Chin himself? There's only one type of person in the entire Qianlong base who would want already exposed Kai Chin to die without implicating others, and that's a traitor hidden within Qianlong. Jing Lei, inadvertently, had indeed stepped into the pit Lin Ziaosu dug. This pit, even though it takes a while to explain, happened in a moment, as not many people could think deeply and make the right judgment. This is his pit. Dug out in an imperceptible manner, it examined the true thoughts of the heart. Time seemed to stop, as Blue Demon's gaze slowly withdrew from the distant sky. In the end, he stopped Kai Chin himself. That's because he knew very well even if he didn't stop it Kai Chin eventually couldn't escape, Lin Ziaosu said, and he also knew Kai Chin didn't know his secret. Jing Lei's secret. What kind of secret does Jing Lei have? The waves in Blue Demon's heart through her eyes were like the Yishui River beneath her feet. Looking at Jing Lei's rise, it's actually a very bizarre thing, Lin Ziaosu said. Before entering Luoba State to assassinate Beigu King, his skills were on par with Blood Trace King, but Beigu King was one of the strongest kings of Nine-Headed Snake. Theoretically, he couldn't kill Beigu King, but he succeeded, and after returning he rose straight to the top king's throne, leaving all of you behind. Blue Demon said so. Lin Ziaosu's gaze slowly lowered. Is there a possibility? Actually, the day he killed Beigu King was already a trick and the result was the opposite. Blue Demon almost jumped up. Do you mean? Beigu King killed Jing Lei, disguised as Jing Lei, infiltrated Qianlong headquarters and became the first king of Qianlong. That's too crazy. The madness in espionage is usually the norm. Lin Ziaosu said, I remember there's a case in the Spy War Manual, where one of our personnel had a deadly encounter with a strong enemy, surrounded by the enemy on all sides, unable to escape. So this predecessor swapped clothes with the strong enemy who died by his hand, faced them head-on, triggered an incendiary bomb, completely destroying their faces, and the enemy mistook him for their own and brought him back for treatment, allowing him to escape. Chapter 496. Chapter 496. There once was a mutation of the Wufeng bloodline. The case he mentioned, Blue Demon was naturally clear about it. In the world of espionage, deceit and reality indeed are the norm. Killing the enemy's high-ranking members, disguising as them, and infiltrating behind enemy lines is not an uncommon case. But, Blue Demon pondered, in the later stage of Jing Lei, he repeatedly achieved great feats, and the nine-headed snakes he personally slew are quite many. Which ones specifically? Lin Ziaosu's eyes flickered. If you carefully analyze and compare it against the disclosed structure of the nine-headed snake organization, you'll find that most of those killed by Jing Lei's hands were people outside the Chasepur Consortium. Every time he acted, it seemed he targeted the nine-headed snake, but the biggest beneficiary has always been the Chasepur Consortium. Blue Demon took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. There are factional disputes within the nine-headed snake as well, right? Yes, one hand secures Qianlong merits, while the other uses the power of Hidden Dragon to eliminate competitors, Lin Ziasu said. If this is the Chasebour's method, it's undoubtedly very clever. Blue Demon looked up at the sky, her chest gently heaving. For a long, long time. Her gaze slowly moved to Lin Ziasu's eyes. In this decryption of information, I also paid attention to Jing Lei. In the entire document, his name only appeared once, and it's at the top of the death list. It's hard for me to imagine that the nine-headed snake would expend the resources of an entire base for the life of one of their own. Lin Ziasu's eyes suddenly brightened. In your decrypted data, Jing Lei is still at the top. Yes, he has always been at the top. Is there a problem? Blue Demon asked. Of course there's a problem, Lin Ziasu said. He used to be at the top, which made sense, but the day before I obtained this data, it had just been updated and he's still at the top. That's a deliberate ruse, a smokescreen. Before getting the data, it had just been updated the day before. This sentence echoed in Blue Demon's ears, and her eyes also brightened. At that time, apart from the white-clothed king and shadowy heaven king you killed initially, you also killed the 6 great kings of the 9-headed snake. Yes. Rationally and logically, you should be at the top. Although it might seem a bit presumptuous, facts are facts. The overall damage I've done to the 9-headed snake is more than twice that of Jing Lei, Lin Ziasu said. Whether it's historical harm or current crisis pressure, as long as the 9-headed snake isn't foolish, they would know that I, Lin Ziasu, should be at the top of the death list. It should absolutely not be him. There's only one exception. Blue Demon slowly said, that would be a deliberate ruse, to make us believe that Jing Lei has no connection to the 9-headed snake and is their most wanted target. This death list is actually a form of protection for Jing Lei. Death list, those for whom the 9-headed snake would exchange an entire base for their head. Naturally, they should be the 9-headed snake's archenemies. However, Lin Ziasu uniquely saw another possibility through the death list, which is that the 9-headed snake listed someone they wanted to protect on the death list. How many can see through such deceit in espionage? Blue Demon said, you've actually been researching Jing Lei during this time. Yes, in the eyes of most people, my return to Fengcheng was for leisure. Who would have thought I'm someone destined for hard work, sitting on millions, surrounded by beautiful women, and not indulging in frivolities, but pondering national strategies all day? Are you sure you haven't been involved in frivolous pursuits? Why is Miao Ruolan becoming more and more captivating? Blue Demon glanced sideways at him, the conversation taking a slight detour. Cough, the focus is a bit off there. Lin Ziasu cast her a side glance. All right, I won't focus on her. I'll turn to another seasoned beauty. Blue Demon commented, getting that seasoned beauty to Tashan Lake. What kind of ripples in the spring water are you planning to stir? What spring water? Right now, Tashan Lake is a pool of autumn waters, Lin Ziasu said. Ah, are you interested in visiting Tashan Lake at night? Blue Demon looked at the sky, and the city of Fengcheng brightly lit up. Now. Yes, now. Just the two of us going together. Yes. Making a nighttime visit might stir up emotions that have been calm for ages, and what would I be? A third wheel, Blue Demon said. You've acted as a third wheel more than once or twice, Lin Ziasu said. Are you going or not? Of course I'm going, but let's be clear. What do you mean by saying I've been a third wheel more than once or twice? I recall when you and little Yixiang were gallivanting around the world. I shouldn't have disturbed your exciting time at Yangcheng Hotel, should I? The two of them traveled along the Yishui River. Passing through half the county town, they arrived at Nancheng, which, compared to the north side, was much less lit and had a stronger natural atmosphere. Under the night sky, Tashan Lake lay silently. Few night lamps from Tashan Qingyuan Temple reflected on Tashan Lake. The wooden house was also in slumber. The light was dim, the autumn wind blew, adding a touch of desolation. Blue Demon quietly brought her mouth to Lin Ziasu's ear. Have you revealed her identity? I have. Really revealed it? Blue Demon asked. Why didn't you, without revealing it, employ your charms to win her over? Lin Ziasu cast her a side glance, somewhat speechless. He wondered why this senior sister was becoming interested in matters between men and women, not drifting away from the topic. Blue Demon said, don't pretend to be upright. Actually, this matter is quite serious. If you seduced her using your legendary irresistible charm, perhaps she might be directly swayed. Now that you've revealed it, how will you approach it? There's a psychological gap, an age gap, even a cultural gap. Lin Zaiasu raised his hand to his forehead. Senior sister, could you focus on something wholesome? Revealing her identity demonstrates enough honesty. Honesty is indeed that, but the problem is, you can't secure a woman's heart this way. Is seducing the only way to secure a woman's heart? Lin Zaiasu asked. This might sound crude, but it cannot be denied. It's effective, especially for a maiden who hasn't experienced love. They're always particularly memorable to their first man. Blue Demon's eyes twinkled. I'm talking about Saintess Qian Ling. Being a saintess from the ancient times, she should fit this theory. Be careful, we're not far from her, Lin Zaiasu whispered. Don't underestimate the power of ancient secret techniques. Perhaps even a passing flower could overhear us. The Blue Demon was startled. He didn't speak further. Ahead was the kindling saintess, Little Garden. She had just returned 4 or 5 days ago, and the little garden seemed to have been completely refurbished. Every blade of grass, every flower, presented the most beautiful scenery. He gently knocked on the gate, and the light inside turned on. In the angle of the lamplight, the silhouette of the kindling saintess, akin to a celestial being, appeared under the shadow of the light, casting a long shadow. A beautiful smile blossomed on her face. Is King Lanchan taking a lakeside stroll with Detective Lin late at night purely for leisure, or is there something special? The Blue Demon smiled. Is there ever that much that's special? I just wrapped up some matters at hand and came to see you. Coming for little me, what an honor! The kindling saintess opened the door and welcomed the guests inside. Tea was prepared, and the water was boiling. The three sat down. I came today to ask you about a family, Lin Zaiasu said. Do you know of the Zippy family? The Blue Demon felt a stir in his heart. The Zippy family, the family of Begu King, Du Luo Zippy. He really did come for the Jinglei matter. The physical body of the kindling saintess was originally from Catherine, who was from the Naren's family. In Luoba State, this ghostly place, said to be the starting point of modern civilization, actually places a great emphasis on family lineage. The Zippy family is also a very famous family, very ancient, with considerable influence. Of course I know, the kindling saintess said. Our Naren's family and their family have had quite a few business dealings. Do they have any special bloodline? The kindling saintess raised her gaze and gave a gentle smile. For example, the former Begu King. Yes. Begu King Du Luo Zippy carried with him an ancestral bloodline. This bloodline originated from one of the tribes of the ancient Wan clan, known as the Wufeng tribe. What is Wufeng? It means no fixed rules. Their bloodline can change and is adept at encompassing things. Therefore, people of the ancient Wufeng tribe were very keen on integrating the divine demon shells from ancient times, and once integrated, their power would advance by leaps and bounds. In just a short sentence, Lin Zaiasu's heart surged with waves. This sentence seemed to unravel all his doubts. Jinglei returned to Qianlong headquarters from Luoba State and underwent surgery at Qianlong headquarters. During the surgery, a genetic test was conducted. The genetic test matched Jinglei, which led to the next steps. This was originally an insurmountable hurdle he had envisioned. If Jinglei was no longer Jinglei, how did he deceive the Qianlong genetic technology team? Now he understood that there was an ancient and magical bloodline called Wufeng. The Wufeng bloodline can change. They extracted Jinglei's genes and implanted them into Begu King, allowing Begu King to be identical to Jinglei at the genetic level. There was another point that seemed to be answered as well. The surgery Jinglei underwent was a very forbidden surgery. It involved integrating liquid metal with the body. Qianlong conducted many experiments. It couldn't be successful. Yet it succeeded only with Jinglei. This was also the role of the Wufeng bloodline, as the Wufeng bloodline is most adept at encompassing. In ancient times, they could use divine demon shells to achieve a breakthrough to nirvana level. In modern society without divine demon shells, liquid metal is used. Could it truly be so? What he could think of, the Blue Demon could also think of. When the two exchanged glances, it seemed they both understood the tempestuous waves in each other's eyes. What's the matter? The kindling saintess picked up her teacup. Do you doubt the death of Begu King? Yes, Lin Zaiasu answered candidly. Actually, I also have doubts, the kindling saintess said. After Begu King died, the Zippy family received help from all sides. From the exposed list, those multinational groups that spared no effort to help the Zippy family were basically all controlled by the nine-headed snake. The way the nine-headed snake treated the Zippy family was completely opposite to how they treated the white-clothed king. After the white-clothed king died, his company was directly swallowed by the nine-headed snake, and no one cared about the white-clothed king's wife or son. However, after Begu King died, the Zippy family received the full support of the nine-headed snake. From a logical standpoint, it's proper for an organization to help the descendants of someone who died for it. But is the nine-headed snake that kind of dutiful organization? They are profit-driven. They put in all their efforts to bestow kindness only when people are alive. When people die, dividing up your property is the correct path. Doesn't this also indirectly suggest that Begu King might not have actually died? Chapter 497, Chapter 497, Meeting Jing Lei. We've actually come over just for this matter. Lin Ziasu stood up. Blue Demon also stood up. Saintess Kyan Ling smiled softly. Is there anything else where I can lend a hand next? Lin Ziasu was slightly stunned. Blue Demon laughed. Indeed there is. Where, what matter? Saintess Kyan Ling seemed intrigued. The Middle East has been thrown into chaos by the Divine Temple. There are signs that their manipulated armies will directly impact the Great Xia border. Behind the Divine Temple, there are masters of the Li Tian clan from the Utopia Ancestral Hall, and this unconventional force might need us. Blue Demon said, if you're interested in fighting alongside us again, I'll invite you when the time comes. All right, I'll be waiting for your message, Saintess Kyan Ling nodded. So today we take our leave, Blue Demon said. Goodbye. Blue Demon took the lead, using sensing power to determine if Lin Ziasu was following or not. Lin Ziasu followed. The two left Saintess Kyan Ling's small house and came to the lakeside outside, gradually walking farther away. I'm very shocked. A wisp of Blue Demon's voice entered Lin Ziasu's ear. This sentence indicated she had preliminarily accepted Lin Ziasu's guess. Because all the chains, every strand pointed to what Lin Ziasu had said, including the previous suspicions, including the pit he dug, and also the bloodline traits that Saintess Kyan Ling just mentioned. Lin Ziasu did not answer. There was no need to answer. His logical chain was almost closed. What remained was just confirmation. Blue Demon said, it's hard to imagine why you'd have such a suspicion. This is a bit strange to talk about, Lin Ziasu said. Once, someone gave me a warning, telling me to be wary of a person with 2 lives after entering Luoba State. I've always wondered, who exactly is this person with 2 lives? It can only be someone who has already died. Blue Demon was startled. There's such a person who... Lin Ziasu shook his head lightly. This person, I will not tell you. This is the only secret I keep from you. If only the first half of the sentence was said, anyone would feel disappointed. Because being refused a secret so firmly in person is quite a blow, almost equivalent to, I don't trust you. But with the following suffix, the perception completely changed. This is the only secret I keep from you. What does this mean? It means that the retention of this secret is not due to distrust, but has another mystery. Blue Demon naturally understood his intent, her eyes gently shifting. The only secret, huh? Then does it mean that other matters can be directly asked about, and you will directly answer? Lin Ziasu just said one word, immediately realizing something was off, except for the disreputable love affairs. Tusk, Blue Demon gave him a playful look. I knew you couldn't handle questions in this area. Never mind, I'll leave you to this. When Chang'e comes out, she'll know how to deal with you. Let's get back on track. Of course we have to get back on track, Lin Ziasu said. He, where is he currently? This he. It clearly referred to someone. Jing Lei. Southwest Frontlin. Lin Ziasu's face changed. Perhaps sensing his change in expression, Blue Demon's face also slowly changed. Southwest Frontline. The Middle East is in turmoil. The Southwest Frontline is filled with wind and cranes. Only because if the Middle East situation impacts Great Xia directly, there's only one point, and that is the Southwest border. Over in the Middle East, the Divine Temple has gone completely mad, with masters from the Ancestral Hall emerging in large numbers into the Bridge Realm, taking over one armed force after another, and power begins to infiltrate politics, with the situation changing 3 times a day. There are already signs of directly dispatching troops towards Great Xia. Based on this, the Southwest Military District has heavily guarded the border, with the frontline headquarters analyzing day and night to guard against enemy decapitation actions once the battle starts. Jing Lei actively volunteered to head to the southwest front line to protect the headquarters. In the past, the first heavenly king of Qianlong personally protecting, everyone would be very reassured. But today's situation has changed. Jing Lei increasingly showed signs of being an inner enemy, at least in Lin Ziaosu and Blue Demon's minds, becoming the most dangerous potential strong foe. He defends the headquarters. Isn't he the most dangerous existence to the headquarters? If the enemy army approaches, and he responds on this side, taking down the headquarters in one swoop, the consequences would be unimaginable. We must go there immediately, Lin Ziaosu said. Blue Demon nodded slowly. With the current information at hand, it's not enough to deploy the red flag. Have you come up with a strategy? Red flag, the monitoring heavenly king. If the heavenly king is in trouble, red flag is also responsible for taking them down. However, all current evidence is just an illusory guess. No solid proof. How to deploy the red flag to take down the first heavenly king. Unless Lin Ziaosu can think of a brilliant strategy, otherwise, even if they reach Jing Lei, they have no reason to take action against him. Lin Ziaosu said, still the same, like a dried-up pond in the countryside. If the fish sense danger, they will jump out by themselves. Human nature instinct. Blue Demon's eyes lit up. Yes, this is human nature instinct. Human nature always seeks to avoid harm while pursuing benefit, always weighing choices. In the night sky, a flying car swooped down and landed in front of them. The two entered the flying car, soared into the sky, and shot straight up to the heavens. Southwest Daxia, Bainan Province. A province bordering 3 countries, with Qingmian country to the south and Jeseng to the far west. Jeseng country, a land of turmoil. Warlords splintering, political forces shifting like a revolving lantern, the country like a boiling pot, armed forces sprouting everywhere. Compared to Jeseng country, the neighboring border town of Ding City in Daxia was particularly calm and serene. Though the western region had been under martial law, with the shadow of war closer each day, the common people could still feel the peace of the passage of time. In the military, King Jing Lei received a message from Blue Demon King. Come over, urgent matters need to be discussed. Below was an address, Yan Valley Farm. King Jing Lei received this message, furrowed his thick brows slightly, then set off. Whenever kings need face-to-face discussions, the importance is self-evident. Yan Valley Farm, north suburb of Ding City. Backing onto the Deliang mountain range, dense forests stretch far and wide. At its feet, the South River branch Little Liang River slowly flows westward. The place where Blue Demon resides was a small wooden cabin under the mountain, a feature of the farm, modern farm catering to customer preferences. If you want to live in an apartment, it's available. A 7-story building filled with modern vibes. If you want to taste the life of a farmhouse courtyard, there's a hut along the river. For a touch of elegance, there are cabins in the mountains. Blue Demon, having some taste, chose the cabin by the mountain. The towering mountains behind carried a primitive charm. The cabin seemed to merge with the mountains. It fully embodied a style that was both within the mortal realm and transcendently unique outside it, perfectly fitting the identity of the Qianlong king. At this moment, the sun was setting, and the chrysanthemums at the farm swayed gently in the thickening twilight. Blue Demon's light blue hair also swayed gently in the wind. Time 8 p.m. During this season, it's completely dark after 6, and by 8 it's already night. The lights came on, somewhat dim, but in the quiet taroom it created a tranquil atmosphere. The door of the taroom was lightly knocked. Blue Demon stood up and opened the taroom door. Outside stood a person with an unremarkable face, just like an ordinary middle-aged man. He was Jing Lei. Qianlong Jing Lei, outwardly as mundane as a passerby, yet today he wore a trench coat with a high collar, even a bland face hiding beneath the collar. You're here. I'm here. Please sit. Blue Demon turned around. With a soft click, Jing Lei closed the taroom door, walked over to the opposite side of her and sat down. Blue Demon raised her hand, poured a cup of tea, and handed it to Jing Lei. Jing Lei lifted his hand slightly and took it. Speak. Blue Demon said, earlier when I went to Luoba State, I accidentally discovered a top-secret document. At first glance, it seemed ridiculous, but upon deeper thought it was terrifying, so I wanted to verify it with you. What document? Begu King's document. Jing Lei's thick brows furrowed slightly. Begu King, what does the document say? Blue Demon said, The document claims that Beigu King is actually not dead. Jing Lei's thick brows relaxed, and he smiled faintly. Indeed absurd, someone I killed with my own hands, how could he come back to life? Blue Demon stared into his eyes. Someone you killed with your own hands theoretically wouldn't come back to life, but are you sure the person you killed was truly Beigu King? Could it be another king? Jing Lei's thick brows furrowed again. Another king who? King Jing Lei. What do you mean? There's a King Jing Lei and nine-headed snake as well. He impersonated Beigu King. Blue Demon lifted her teacup, took a sip, and smiled faintly. You surely understand what I mean. That day in Luoba State, it was Jing Lei who killed Beigu King, but Beigu King killed Jing Lei, then disguised himself as Jing Lei and infiltrated Qianlong. Jing Lei laughed. Is that what's recorded in the document? Yes. Do you believe it? I believe 80% of it, Blue Demon said. Blue Demon, are you mad, or is the person who left the document mad? Blue Demon slowly put down the teacup in her hand, staring at Jing Lei. Mad or not, it doesn't really matter. What matters is this needs to be verified. It's not as hard as imagined. Oh, Jing Lei maintained a smiling expression. How to verify? Start with the bloodline of the Zippy family. Beigu King Du Luo Zippy had children. He also had parents. Through modern technology, extract their genes, then extract yours if. I say if. If there's a genetic link between your sequences, King Jing Lei, don't you think that would be undeniable proof? Saying this, Blue Demon slightly leaned forward, her eyes glimmering at this moment. The smile on Jing Lei's face suddenly disappeared. Though he still appeared calm, the tranquility was oppressively heavy. I don't understand, Jing Lei uttered 4 words. Explain. I don't understand why you didn't tell the old man about such insane remarks, but instead told me privately. Because over the years, you've made great contributions to Qianlong. You've eliminated at least triple digits of 9-headed snakes mid to high-level members. Those achievements are significant. I don't wish for the road to end abruptly. I hope that when 9-headed snake reaches its last gasp, you can turn back from the brink and continue to be our comrade. Blue Demon's voice was filled with sincerity. Jing Lei stared at her for a long time. You've actually believed more than just 80% of this document. Chapter 498. Chapter 498. Battle against the First Heavenly King. At the beginning, it was indeed only 80%, but your expression just now told me that I can believe 90% or more, Blue Demon said. I only say if this information is true, does this Beigu King infiltrating Qianlong really have a chance to stop and truly change allegiance? If the 9-headed snake was still around, probably not, but times are always changing, and the 9-headed snake is no more, Blue Demon said. Is there still a need to risk your life for it? At a time when Qianlong needs people, as they say, heroes don't ask about their origins. As long as you make significant contributions to Daxia, why worry about truly washing away the stigma on you? I understand you're old-fashioned, Jing Lei chuckled softly. Blue Demon sighed. Yes, as a person of Qianlong, one would always be somewhat old-fashioned, always hoping to retain good talent for the country. Even if they are from the enemy, as long as they can truly be used by me, the Xia Hidden Dragon can still accept them. Having been in Qianlong for 13 years, I certainly know Qianlong's old-fashioned ways, Jing Lei said. Unfortunately, I am not old-fashioned. As soon as his voice fell, a sharp spike suddenly appeared at Blue Demon's brow. The speed of this spike surpassed time and space. The mighty Blue Demon King could not dodge at all. She had specially invited Jing Lei tonight to consult with Jing Lei on such a serious issue. It seemed not in line with logic, but combined with her words, it seemed logical. Only 2 words were needed for the answer, old-fashioned. She had seen Jing Lei's past achievements. She hoped Jing Lei would change allegiance. In her notion, with the 9-headed snake gone, Jing Lei had no need to risk his life for the 9-headed snake, completely abandoning his previous identity, unlocking the shackles on him, truly belonging to Qianlong, continuing to make contributions on the battlefield. To clean his name was easy if she said so. Therefore, she didn't tell the chief long about this top-secret information, but met with Jing Lei privately. Unfortunately, she was old-fashioned. Jing Lei was not. The private meeting gave Jing Lei a chance to end this insider. Seeing the sharp spike had already reached Blue Demon's brow. Suddenly, a sharp sword light appeared from nowhere. With a clang of metal, the wooden tea room split in 2, as did the tea table in front of Jing Lei and Blue Demon. The lights went out, sunlight spilled in. Under the faint starlight, Jinglei stood face to face with a person. Tall and straight, full of charisma. Lin Zaiasu. Lin Zaiasu, do you think I'm surprised by your sudden appearance? Jinglei said coldly. Lin Zaiasu smiled faintly. My hiding place was close at hand. If you couldn't sense even this, you wouldn't deserve to be called the strongest king of the past 9-headed snake. Yes, I had already sensed your presence. I'm also very clear that Blue Demon's rhetoric is actually all you're planning. Even if I killed her, as long as you are still around, I am still troubled, so using the opportunity to kill her to force you, the real culprit, to show up was my goal. Understood, catch this. Lin Zaiasu's 5-element sword tip suddenly flashed with a gleam hiss. Separation. A sword slashed down. Jinglei. No, Begu King. His hand's sharp spike flickered. His whole body flickered at the same time. The two of them suddenly disappeared out of thin air. Hiss. The entire tea room shattered. A cold wind suddenly blew in front of Blue Demon, a chill from hell. She quickly sidestepped with a clang, the metal clanging beside her ear. Blue Demon spread her movement technique, retreating 10 feet away, her heart pounding wildly. She knew what just happened. Just now Jinglei, no Begu King, launched a fatal attack on her. Lin Zaiasu intercepted it. She is the Qianlong King. She is also the king on the battlefield, but Jinglei's fatal attack. She couldn't bear it, couldn't even see it clearly, could only make an emergency response relying on years of battle instinct. If it weren't for Lin Zaiasu, she would be severely injured if not dead. This is the gap between her and the two of them. Bang! A big tree fell down. She couldn't see how this tree broke. Bang! The courtyard wall fell too. A gust of strong wind swept up the hill. On the slope, it was like a super tornado hit, grass and trees flying. With her eyesight, she could only see 2 shadows fluttering back and forth. For a moment, she couldn't tell who was who. The next moment, the hill quieted. Disturbances in the depth of the forest arose. The disturbances pushed all the way to deeper in the woods. Clang! With a sound of metal, the 2 shadows separated. Lin Zaiasu positioned himself on a treetop with 1 foot. Begu King positioned himself on a giant rock with 1 foot. The autumn breeze blew, bringing a sense of desolation. Night had fallen with no one around. Only 2 pairs of eyes, 2 sharp weapons. Lin Zaiasu, I really underestimated you. Begu King took a deep breath. Traveling all the way to Luoba State, you actually dug out my foundation. Not denying it now, Lin Zaiasu said. As Blue Demon said, verifying this top-secret information wasn't actually difficult. Since the cards are unveiled, why deny any more? Begu King said coldly. Actually, there's no such information. Lin Zaiasu exhaled gently. What? Begu King was shaken all over. Lin Zaiasu smiled faintly. We didn't find any information about you in Luoba State. I was suspicious, so I had Blue Demon force you to expose yourself. Strategy. The Begu King's eyes slightly closed, black energy swirling wildly on his face. Falling for this strategy, there's no need for regret. As Blue Demon said, and as you emphasized since I had this thought, obtaining solid evidence against you is not difficult, just a matter of making another trip to Luoba State. The Begu King's eyes slowly opened. Makes sense, but the key issue is, why did you suspect me? This might hurt your feelings. Are you sure you want to hear it? At this moment, what could be more hurtful than reality? Speak. Lin Zaiasu said, there are 2 reasons I suspected you. First, your battle achievements are far inferior to mine, yet 9-headed snake designated you as top of the death list. Undeserved reputation suggests something fishy. I have reason to suspect this is a cover-up by 9-headed snake for you. The Begu King's heart turned over, not knowing if it was anger or shock. Shocked that the death list of 9-headed snake, the most exquisite psychological warfare set up by the 9-headed snake's think tank, became the key reason for his exposure. Angry at the casual mention of undeserved position. What's the second reason? The Begu King's voice remained calm. The second reason is when you were capturing Kai Chin of the 2nd Strategy Department. I whispered in your ear about executing Kai Chin with the heavenly spin kill. The Begu King took a deep breath, as expected. As expected, you already figured it out. I realized afterward I should have taken that hit, but I still held onto a fluke, hoping that move wasn't part of your plan. The Begu King sighed. Lin Zaiasu, I seem to have to admit, your planning is even more insidious than Bai Shui. Don't praise me like that. Lin Zaiasu felt a bit embarrassed. Senior Bai Shui's plans are grand and meticulous. My planning is somewhat childish, unable to target gentlemen, only villains. Only targets villains. The Beigu King, extremely angered, laughs sarcastically. Detective Lin is really adept at verbal sparring, but tonight, it's time to end it. As he finished speaking, the sharp spike in his hand suddenly reached Lin Ziasu's throat. This strike was twice as fast as the previous one. The last attack left Blue Demon amazed. This current strike fully confirmed that the previous Beigu King had actually held back. He needed to know who exactly in his family wanted him dead. Now that Qianlong knew his identity, he couldn't stay in Qianlong anymore. The family was his last stronghold. He had to know what went wrong within the family. That's the real reason he risked encirclement and came for a final talk with Lin Ziasu. Now all the riddles are solved. There's no need to hold back anymore. He had to kill Lin Ziasu immediately, then start his escape. This is De Liang Mountain with its high mountains and dense forests. Once he passed De Liang Mountain, he would be in another country's territory. Even if all of Qianlong's kings and red flags were deployed, he, the former top king, still had confidence in escaping. However, what the Beigu King didn't expect was, as his speed doubled, Lin Ziasu in front of him suddenly also doubled in speed. Swish! The sword swung down, sharp and unmatched. Before his spike reached Lin Ziasu's throat, Lin Ziasu's long sword had already reached the Beigu King's throat. The speed of this sword was far beyond Lin Ziasu's fastest sword on the 33 towers. Almost incomparable. What does this signify? Not only was he, as Jing Lei, not revealing his real combat power on the 33 towers, Lin Ziasu's climb, which seemed to smash everything like gourds, was actually also hiding his true skills. Swish! The Beigu King's throat was pierced by the sword. However, at his throat, a silver light flashed, and what flowed out was not blood but a kind of silvery liquid, emitting a metallic luster. Lin Ziasu suddenly felt a shock in his heart. The Beigu King's spike had already reached his skin. Lin Ziasu evaded rapidly, blood splattering out. He was hurt. It wasn't because he wasn't fast enough, but because the Beigu King took his sword strike unharmed, while he was injured by just one hit from the spike. The Beigu King in front of him suddenly underwent a change extremely bizarre. The silvery liquid seemed to rise from his flesh, and in an instant, his whole body turned silver-white like a robot. With a swift sound, he moving like an afterimage. Lin Ziasu raised his hand, and the five-element sword descended like a collapsing mountain. Boom! He struck a person from the air, who turned out to be the Beigu King incarnated as an afterimage. The Beigu King retreated 10 meters away, suddenly extending his hand, his palm crossing the 10-meter space, transformed into two spikes, directly stabbing at Lin Ziasu. Lin Ziasu's sword in hand transformed into a double shadow, cutting down almost simultaneously. The two arms seemed to be cut and broken, yet these broken arms suddenly bent. From all sides surrounded, as they surrounded, the arms turned into sharp saws, vibrating at high speed. Lin Ziasu soared into the sky, breaking through the encirclement at the moment of the saws closing in, arrived in front of the Beigu King, who gave a grim smile, his chest ribs suddenly turning into a sword stabbing straight at Lin Ziasu's face, while at the same time, the outer two arms spun at high speed, striking towards Lin Ziasu's back of the head. For a moment, the battle between them was extremely bizarre. This was Lin Ziasu's first time experiencing such a strange battle. The Beigu King's entire body was laden with weapons. Simply because his skeleton was made of liquid metal, capable of transformation at will, the hand was a spike, and also a knife, and could also be a saw. Rib bones, shoulder bones were the same. This metal could be both hard and soft, indestructible, ever-changing. It was like a combination of a Lietian clan member and a wing blade. Each part of the body could possess the transformative abilities of the Lietian clan, yet each transformation had the indestructibility of the wing blade and an incomparably swift speed. This kind of Beigu King, any heavenly king from Qianlong encountered him, wouldn't last beyond 3 bouts. However, Lin Ziasu's unbelievable aspects also fully manifested. Chapter 499. Chapter 499. A drop of Li Ren tears, tribute to the soul of the strange realm. The Beigu King moved like a phantom. He too moved like a phantom. In terms of speed, he didn't fall behind at all. The Begu King's hands and feet transformed into 18 types of weapons, shattering the stones and plants around them, yet they couldn't touch a single hair on him. Every time the Begu King thought he had injured him, he still missed by a hair's breadth in the end. Moreover, when he occasionally landed a heavy strike, the mountain-crushing force would blast the Begu King back 10 meters. The more the Begu King fought, the more alarmed he became. The bone form was his never-exposed battle form. Yes, never exposed before. Today, revealing all his cards as he needed to hurry, he exposed this ultimate battle form. Originally, he thought it would take at most a minute to finish the battle. Before leaving Daxia, he planned to dismember Lin Zaiasu, the person who ruined half his life's efforts, in the most brutal way possible. Who knew the ultimate battle form wouldn't be able to kill him? 10 minutes, 20 minutes passed. Lin Zaiasu became more agile, and the power of the severing emotion sword didn't weaken at all. It even grew stronger step by step. This was bizarre. Enough. Withdraw immediately. Swoosh. The Begu King's 2 arms suddenly trembled, swirling a massive flourish of swordplay in front of Lin Zaiasu. Lin Zaiasu's long sword fell, accurately hitting this arm. The arm recoiled like a startled snake. With a flip, the Begu King leaped off the slope, accompanied by a long laugh. Lin Zaiasu, our time will come again. He was going to escape. And signs showed that as long as he intended to escape, no one in the world could stop him. Even if all the heavenly kings of Qianlong gathered, they couldn't stop him. Just as he stepped onto the mountaintop, just as he crossed the boundary steel in front of him, a torrential downpour began. The Begu King was a bit confused. Why would it suddenly rain? And it's such a heavy rain. It was as if a reservoir had been released. Glancing at the sky from the corner of his eye, the Begu King was suddenly shocked. Above the sky, a flying car, and on top of it, a giant water bag. The water was pouring out from this water bag. What the hell? Poisoned water. Would poisoned water be effective? That's because you don't understand what ultimate state means. In the current state, no matter what poison it is, it cannot invade. However, the scene before him suddenly changed. The night seemed to turn into dawn. The vast mountains seemed to turn into misty rain Jiangnan. Amidst the pervasive mist and rain, a voice as light as a sigh said, "What does the old country have? A drop of parting tears. This move in tribute to the fallen King Jinglei and Liuoba state." The Begu King stood dazed, his eyes bulging, blankly looking at Lin Zaiasu in front of him. Lin Zaiasu also quietly looked at him. Poof! An arrow of blood shot from the Begu King's forehead. This blood arrow was no longer silver-white, but bright red. In an instant, blood arrows spurted out from all over his body, mixed with silvery white fluids. The Begu King's throat moved up and down, as if trying to say something, but when he opened his mouth, only blood spewed out. Thud! He collapsed head first, falling before the boundary steel. Silently, the flying car landed from above, and Blue Demon appeared in a flash before Lin Zaiasu, bending at the waist to place her fingers on the Begu King's nose tip. Dead as could be, Lin Zaiasu said. Sorry, there was no way I could spare his life. This is the formidable strength of the Li Ren Tears move. Outsiders could only see its unmatched beauty. Those subjected to Li Ren Tears knew how cruel and merciless it could be. It simultaneously destroyed all bodily functions. This included both the physical body and meridians, as well as the brain's vitality. A generation of Heavenly King, initially the strongest among the 9-headed snake. Later, the strongest among the Qianlong. But today he fell before the boundary steel, ending his life. Blue Demon slowly raised her head, a complex mix of emotions flashing in her eyes. The red flag will arrive soon. Lin Zaiasu nodded gently. Blue Demon slowly revealed a smile on her face. I finally know how to collaborate with you in the future. When facing formidable foes, I'll just bring the water bag. Lin Zaiasu also smiled. With this smile, he seemed to walk out of the entanglement surrounding King Jinglei's death in the strange realm, as well as the sorrow of the first king of Qianlong being a traitor, and face the intense colors of today's battle situation. The flying car with the water bag was the most brilliant stroke. Tailored to perfection. Lin Zaiasu knew that this first heavenly king had cards to play. He also knew that tonight actually posed risks. Some might say, knowing the risks, why are you still so reckless? Don't you know to contact Chief Long in advance to make a thorough arrangement? In fact, it's not that Lin Zaiasu is overconfident in himself. Rather, he has very little confidence in Qianlong. He doesn't know how many people are lurking along the Beigu King's route. If the grass startles the snake and Beigu King flees abroad, capturing him would be nearly impossible. Therefore, he can only gamble. If his current strength isn't enough to take him down, he will have to borrow some power from above. Borrow power from whom? Borrow from the observing heaven realm cultivators on the cultivation path. A large water bag, creating a torrential rain environment, gave him the premise for using his Li Ren tears by borrowing water. Fortunately, Li Ren tears has never let him down. The Beigu King perished as a result. I suddenly thought of someone, said Blue Demon. Who? Ding Ryushui, Blue Demon said. That day when she fought enemies at the Changsheng group, she unintentionally revealed an incredible ability. She could actually generate a massive water ball out of thin air. If you fight alongside her, you might be able to use this water ball to wield your Li Ren tears anytime, anywhere. Lin Zaiasu was greatly shaken. Ding Ryushui, the person who opened the water secret realm. And he had lost the path to observing heaven. Without entering observing heaven, he could only unleash his strongest attack of Li Ren tears under the condition of having water. If she really could generate a massive water ball at will, wouldn't she be the perfect companion made by heaven and earth? But can she really create a large water ball so easily? How much water would that take? Her body did have a lot of water. That night, it was so much that the bed sheets could be wrung out after 4 times, but even so, wasn't it hard to achieve? What, did it enlighten you? Are you planning to turn this fake girlfriend into a real one, counting on her to make water for you every day? Blue Demon glanced sideways. Lin Zaiasu stared at her blankly. Senior sister, I think your words are quite provocative. Don't play provoking games with me. I'm still young. Young? Bah, you're not that young. Blue Demon almost kicked him. A guy who plays real swords and spears with Miao Rulan at the detective agency every day, playing innocent in front of me. Ha ha. Lin Zaiasu laughed. Blue Demon also laughed. The laughter spread at the boundary steel, seemingly clearing all the gloom. So what's the plan next? Blue Demon asked. This place is Baianan Province. Since we're already in Baianan Province, I should make a trip to Wushan Mountain. Blue Demon glared at him. Aren't you still young? Aren't you very innocent? Now you want little sister Yixiang already. What are you thinking? It's a serious matter, Lin Zaiasu replied righteously and sternly. Got it, reproduction for the sake of the nation, Blue Demon smirked. Be careful, though. I know Miaojung is quite sinister. Your cheap mother-in-law, if she doesn't use a charm on you this time, she definitely won't consider herself a responsible mother. Can't worry about that much, Lin Zaiasu said. Senior sister, shall we go together? Keep dreaming, I'm definitely not going. While you're getting cozy with little sister Yixiang, what am I supposed to do on the side? Play with her white turtle or something? Senior sister, can you really not see what we should do next? Lin Zaiasu sighed. Blue Demon looked into his eyes. The initial casualness on her face slowly vanished. Next, it's time for the closing battle with the 9-headed snake, Lin Zaiasu said. The 3rd of March is approaching. The ghost gate will open. Time waits for no one. Blue Demon was shocked. Are you really planning to make a move against the venerable Hydra snake? Of course. What's this got to do with Yixiang? It's not about her. It's somewhat related to a teacher at Wushan Mountain Primary School. Blue Demon's eyes opened wider. How did a teacher suddenly come into this? It's a bit of a mysterious tale. People sometimes have to talk about fate, Lin Zaiasu said. This female teacher's name is Hu Dai. She's from Sanluping Village, Dayacheng Town, Liding County, in Zaihe Province. Blue Demon blinked, and then Lin Zaiasu said, doesn't the name of this place sound familiar? Familiar? I don't find it familiar, never been there. It's not important, Blue Demon said. Just tell me, then what? Lin Zaiasu gently shook his head. Senior sister, you are quite insensitive to key information within keywords. Let me be clear. This place name is exactly aligned with the origin of someone on Nirvana Island, the lone snake. And this teacher happens to have a brother who was taken 13 years ago when he was in the 2nd grade of primary school. This teacher's lifelong wish is to find her brother. Blue Demon's heart jumped wildly. This teacher is the lone snake's sister. Yes, she is also the lone snake's only relative alive in this world. Their parents have already passed away. Blue Demon said, I see. You want to find the lone snake through his sister, and once you find the lone snake, you can find the venerable lord. Does the logic hold? Part of it does, part of it does, Blue Demon said. The lone snake is highly likely to be by the venerable Lord's side. That's the part where the logic holds. Why would the lone snake be by the venerable Lord's side? Because the venerable Lord needs strong people close to him. And the lone snake is not just any strong person. He's a nirvana, and not just any nirvana. Typical nirva only undergoes nirvana once. But he sheds his skin like a snake every year. Each time is a nirvana, he is an infinite nirvana. How terrifying is such a nirvana? In any organization, even in an environment full of ancient heavenly pride, he is a heavenly pride. What organization would give him up? So the venerable Lord would definitely consider him a confidant. That the nine-headed snake has not been seen in regular battles, leaving no records of him, seems to be proof. Where doesn't the logic hold? Lin Zaiasu said. You're using conventional thinking to judge a nirvana, Blue Demon said. A nirvana, having gone through life and death, probably has no feelings for kinship at all. You think that a person would value his only living relative, but for him, he would. Chapter 500, God Elimination Technique, a Subdivine Skill. Not necessarily, Lin Zaiasu said. Junior brother, you're still young. What I mean is, you are relatively young, you value your family highly, you consider others like yourself, thinking everyone in the world must be like you. In fact, there are 100 people with 100 different faces, different environments, different hearts. Lin Zaiasu said, just as you said, among 100 people there are 100 different kinds. Some indeed are cold-blooded, yet some still have humanity left. Not long ago I saw a case. It was the one Ryulan and her team were most proud of over the past year. It was about a big boss who was kidnapped as a child. Over 40 years he did odd jobs, slept under bridges, experienced partner scams, and later rose from adversity, becoming a billionaire boss. As a wealthy boss, he enjoyed the finest delicacies, experienced the most exquisite beauties, and saw the infinite scenery above, but deep down, he always held a picture in his heart. That was the crooked-necked big locust tree at the entrance of his village. He was only just over 1 year old when he was kidnapped. He didn't remember where his hometown was or his mother's face, but he remembered that tree, so he offered a large sum to the Fengcheng Detective Agency to help him find his home. Blue Demon seemed touched, and later, they found it, Lin Zaiasu said. Ryulan and her team spent 3 months visiting over 1,000 villages, taking thousands of photos, and finally found this boss's old home. The boss went home. His parents had already passed away. He knelt in front of their graves, crying like a child. He also increased the detective fee he promised by 10 times. Blue Demon said, this case you mentioned, I've actually seen many like it. Nostalgia in old age is almost a human inevitability. Even corrupt officials full of sins, after experiencing all the prosperity, when they step into the detention center, perhaps the deepest memory is still their mother sewing a worn-out coat under the oil lamp. What you want to tell me is, no matter how vicious a person might be, there must always be a part of their heart that's pure, right? It's not absolute, but there's such a possibility. Blue Demon said, however, in front of these few nirvana practitioners, your theory doesn't apply. If they were such people, they would have contacted their family long ago. In fact, according to the investigation by our inserted personnel, they've never been back to their hometown, never looked for their family. There's a possibility, a very big possibility, Lin Zaiasu said. They don't know their origins. Don't know? That's impossible, Blue Demon said. According to current data of the 3 nirvana practitioners, Ice Blade was kidnapped at 6, Gushi at 9, Qing Yan at 10. At that age, they could remember things, even accurately recall place names and all information about their parents and relatives. What if their consciousness was erased? Lin Zaiasu said. Consciousness erased. Blue Demon's heart raced. Amnesia. Using some technology to artificially create amnesia. In the subdivine skill, there's a technique called God Elimination Technique, used to clear memories, foolproof and very easy to operate. Blue Demon's heart pounded. You're still sure this lord has high-level subdivine skill? Certain, with the Sun Lotus in hand, even if not an expert, he would still be an expert. Tell me all your thoughts. Blue Demon took a deep breath. Let the old man, in the name of Qianlong, announce these 3 people's origins, Lin Zaiasu said. The earlier message released by Qianlong was just the general members list of the 9-headed snake, not involving these 3. And now, Lin Zaiasu asked Qianlong to make a special release about these 3 people's origins. Blue Demon slowly looked up. Among the 3, we only need one to have a sense of home or family, then we can follow the trail right. That's right, we don't need all of them, just one. Isn't the probability higher now? Lin Zaiasu smiled. Blue Demon licked her luscious red lips, muttering, "Why, when clearly there's no hope, you manage to stir things up and make me feel hopeful again." "Haha," Lin Zaiasu laughed. "The red flag has arrived. I should go to Wushan Mountain for a visit. Senior sister, wait for me at Taichung for a few days. If this strategy of family ties doesn't work, I have another trick." The voice fell, the figure vanished. Blue Demon, watching his departing figure, slowly bit her lips. "You little scoundrel, I don't believe you're going up Wushan Mountain for legitimate business with that female teacher, even if it is business. How many days could it take? You're just off to pick mushrooms with that Yixian girl. You still want me waiting for you at Taichung. While you're having fun in Miao Village, I'm tiptoeing around in Taichung. What is this?" The flying car landed from the sky, a total of 3 rides. An old man stepped off the flying car. Although this old man seemed not young, his entire body was explosive. This person is indeed the flag master of the red flag, second only to the Chief Long, a top leader of Qianlong. He walked step by step. The wind over the whole mountain seemed somewhat oppressing. When he reached the bullet-riddled, tattered body on the ground, his face was as gloomy as water. "Investigate." A word was uttered. Then another red flag member stepped forward for gene comparison. "Report confirmed as Jing Lei. Compare with the genetic chain of the Zippy family." The second command was issued. Everyone was tense, including Blue Demon. Today's matter was actually all speculation, Lin Zaiasu's speculation. Although Jing Lei did not deny it, Blue Demon hadn't heard him directly affirm it. The test results required 5 minutes, and during those 5 minutes, everyone was extremely anxious. Even Chief Long, far away at the Qianlong headquarters, stood in front of his desk, quietly waiting. The green lights on the instrument lit up. 1, 2, 3. A faint beep sounded. The red flag elder trembled all over. Chief Long staggered, propped his hand on the desk to steady himself. Everyone's heart was a roller coaster of emotions. Confirmed. Jing Lei is actually not Jing Lei. In addition to Jing Lei's own bloodline genes, he also has the genetic chain of the Zippy family. What Blue Demon reported, this bizarre major event, now completely confirmed. This person, who established a remarkable reputation at the Qianlong headquarters, almost defining this generation of Qianlong as the Jing Lei era's first heavenly king. Jing Lei was actually killed 13 years ago. On that day, it was Jing Lei who killed Beigu King to achieve his exploits, but Beigu King who killed Jing Lei, uniquely merging Jing Lei's genes with his own, disguising himself as Jing Lei, stealthily entering Qianlong headquarters, becoming the first heavenly king. How breathtaking is that? What kind of terrifying thought is this? If it weren't for Lin Zaiasu, what kind of stormy waves would he have stirred up in Qianlong? The red flag master slowly lifted his gaze. Where is he? The he referred to, of course, was Lin Zaiasu. He's starting his next big operation. Blue Demon took a deep breath. I'm going to help him. If you see him, tell him for me. I'm ashamed, and also thank him for Chief Long. The flag master's voice was very desolate. Blue Demon nodded slightly. Her figure turned into a blue lightning, entered her flying car, and shot straight into Taichung. Red Flag, shouldering the duty of inspecting the Heavenly King, and as this flag master, he had long neglected such an important first Heavenly King. Strictly speaking, it was a significant dereliction of duty. This old man was very honest, admitting his shame and would accept his punishment. What kind of turmoil would arise within Qianlong? Blue Demon did not care. She only focused on one thing, whether Lin Zaiasu's recent move could achieve results. Lin Zaiasu was very relaxed, very leisurely, taking a rare minibus that passed through several cities from west to south, entering Taichung. The minibus shook and moved slowly. He slept on it and woke up in Taichung. After exiting the station, he casually hailed a taxi, then took a more familiar route up the mountain. This season at Wushan Mountain seemed to be the most beautiful time. The sky was high and the air was crisp. The mist that lingered at the mountain top all year round had cleared. Red leaves covered the mountains, truly a scene described by poets. When he arrived at Wushan Mountain Primary School, it was noon. On top of the small inn, Hu Dai lazily sat on the swing set, bathing in the warm autumn sun, watching the playground below. On the playground, kids were still playing around, and among them, a little one was running especially joyfully. That was Little Moon. Little Moon was very lively, more so than some children whose parents were still alive. Why? Because she was proud. And why was she proud? Because her mom was a teacher. More than once she told other kids, teacher who was her mom and who Dai could swear, this wasn't what she taught her. Hudai also knew why Little Moon was so eager to position herself as her mom's role. She got the idea from watching TV. In a movie, a mom tells her child, "In the whole world, only moms never leave their babies." This line, Little Moon remembered. She recited it several times by Hudai's ear, then looked at her with sparkling eyes, timidly asking, "Teacher, can I call you Mom?" Hudai hesitated for a long time, during which Little Moon clutched her clothing, nervous and expectant. That evening she pulled Little Moon into her arms, telling her, "You can call me Mom." Accompanied by that passionate cry of Mom, Little Moon shed tears of happiness in her arms, and Hudai, holding her, looked at the sky and also cried. From then on, she looked at Little Moon with a different mindset. Little Moon in this primary school grew happier and happier. Hudai watched Little Moon running on the playground, her thoughts drifting far, far away. It was also such an autumn day. It was also such a campus. A little boy was running on the playground. She called to him from the school gate. He did not hear. "Brother, where are you? Are you still alive? You know, I haven't visited Mom's grave for 5 years, because I'm afraid Mom will ask me. You promised to find brother, did you find him?" Suddenly a voice came from behind. "Long time no see." Hudai suddenly turned around. Behind her, on the platform by the stairs, a handsome young man was smiling at her. It was him, Lin Zaiasu. On that day, right in front of this swing, right before this stone tea table, he stripped away all her disguises, making her feel the end was near. But he left behind a few words and then departed. Her end didn't come. Little Moon's dream wasn't shattered. And today he came. "It's been over a year," Hudai exhaled gently. "Sorry I haven't kept in touch. At that time, I underestimated my opponent. He must have already suspected me of trying to turn you, so I didn't contact you." Lin Zaiasu sat down by the tea table. "Now that things have changed greatly, is my role as a piece on the board no longer useful?" Hudai also sat down opposite him, casually pouring him a cup of tea. Her words were light, words that ordinary people wouldn't understand. But Lin Zaiasu of course understood. Chapter 501, Chapter 501, The True Lord. Hudai, once a chess piece of his, was turned and left in place, waiting for the enemy's call. However, more than a year has passed without any call. This can only mean one thing. The enemy has already detected that she might have been turned by Lin Zaiasu and has completely abandoned her. And now, the downfall of the nine-headed snake is a foregone conclusion. Her superior cannot even take care of himself, so how could he take care of her? Lin Zaiasu raised the teacup with a gentle smile. Whether someone is useful or not depends on the person. In this life-and-death game of the nine-headed snake, you might no longer be needed. But in Little Moon's eyes, your role is irreplaceable. You exist, so her world can exist. Hudai's gaze followed his, casting down from the rooftop, sweeping past Little Moon. "I haven't done anything for you, nor am I in a position to ask you to fulfill your promise, but I still want to ask, does that matter have hope? Check your phone, search for Qianlong release." Lin Zaiasu took a sip of tea. Hudai's heart suddenly jumped. She quickly took out her phone and tapped on a followed video channel. Qianlong release, she had already followed it. She had been following it all along. Today, just now, a new video was released. Now releasing the first issue of Nirvana information on Great Zia Nirvana Island. There are currently 3 Nirvana still in the world: Gushi, real name Hujai, native of Daeacheng Town, Sanleping Village, Lideng County, Zaihe Province; Ice Blade, real name Liu Xiangbo, native; Qingyan, real name Nabujaikyu, native. According to verification, these 3 were all abducted by the nine-headed snake in their childhood. Though they have committed serious crimes, there is a path of redemption. If they assist Qianlong in eliminating the remnants of the nine-headed snake, they can atone with merit. Hudai's hand trembled slightly, her body also trembling gently. Is there any photo information?" "No, on Nirvana Island their identities are top secret. There are only textual records, no photos," Lin Zaiasu said. "Is there any other information like genes?" Hudai asked. "Yes, he has snake genes, shedding his skin once a year, reincarnating every year." "It's him." Hudai suddenly grasped Lin Zaiasu's hand. Her hand at this moment was so cold as a snake. Her eyes also seemed to turn snake-like. He and I actually inherited my father's genes. My father had snake genes. He and I are actually recessive second-generation gene people. Second-generation gene people. This is a brand new concept. What are second-generation gene people? If the father or mother is a gene person, their children are naturally gene people. It's just that some are dominant, some are recessive. The dominant ones will manifest in childhood. The recessive will manifest when the types of organs in the body are fully developed. Theoretically, it can manifest in adulthood, but it can also be artificially awakened early through some special genetic means. Linzayasu gently exhaled. So, this is the reason why they chose you siblings out of the vast crowd. Hudai said, perhaps this is also the reason why he can be reborn from nirvana. First, let me congratulate you. You finally received news of your brother, Linzayasu said. Hudai's gaze slowly lifted. Secondly, are you going to tell me a cruel truth, that my brother has become something we hoped he wouldn't become? From the current situation, yes. Hudai's hot blood in her heart quietly cooled. But I can't determine what he will be like in the future. Hudai suddenly raised her head. You're saying he still has a chance. You can break the cocoon and become a butterfly, why can't he? Linzayasu said, maybe one day I will meet him face to face, and then I will tell you the answer you want to know. Can you give me this opportunity? Hudai asked. Let me meet him face to face. No, Linzayasu said. Don't view a nirvana with a conventional perspective. Hudai's gaze slowly lifted. Yes, I was too presumptuous. We haven't seen each other in 13 years. He might have long forgotten that he has a sister. If I want to approach him, I might not even see him before being killed silently by him. Yes, but you still might have a chance to meet him. Theoretically, yes. Hudai said, when you see him, give him something. What? Wait. Hudai stood up and went back to the room, soon coming out again. She had a small horse in her hand. This little horse was made of reeds. The hair on the horse's tail was already bald. The reeds had long since dried out. This is the horse I folded for him back then. He liked it very much, showed it off in his school bag to his classmates, and got into a fight with a classmate who broke the horse's tail. The day he disappeared, my mom and I searched the entire forest, and in the grass we found this horse. Yet I don't know if he still remembers. Linzayasu took this childish toy horse, raised it up to examine. If he still remembers, there might be a little hope. If he doesn't remember. Hudai slowly turned her head back. Then I can only return to my hometown, confess my guilt at my mother's grave, tell her I'm incompetent, I'm useless, I can't take care of my brother in this world, and can only let my brother go underground, letting mother teach him herself. I'm leaving, say hello to little Moon for me. Linzayasu turned and went down the restaurant. Hudai watched him pass by the elementary school gate, carrying a bag of gifts bought from the mini-mart, entering Wushan Mountain inner village. At the same time, in the land of Daxia, there is a secret chamber. The secret chamber is very ancient and dark. Though it's daytime, the inside of the chamber is as dim as night. An elegant old man leaned on an old-fashioned master's chair, staring at the wall opposite. On this wall there are strange patterns. The patterns are ancient and profound, and the eternal blue stone seems full of dynamism due to the presence of these patterns. Suddenly his eyes slightly closed. It seemed like his spirit withdrew from the patterns. Behind him, at some unknown time, a person appeared, slightly bowing. Lord, something has happened. Speak. Both of their voices were very gentle. Qianlong released the background information of 3 nirvana, the young man behind said. The Lord's eyes suddenly opened, but he remained silent. The young man said, Ice Blade has shown no abnormality, but Gu Shi looked different. He locked himself in the secret chamber. The Lord said, pass down my order without my instructions. Neither Gu Shi nor Ice Blade shall leave the mountain. Yes. The young man's figure disappeared into thin air. In the darkness, an old voice suddenly sounded. Lord, I suspect something. What? The old voice in the darkness said. I suspect that Qing Yan has long known her origin. Where do you see that from? The old voice said. She volunteered to infiltrate Kun Kang, ostensibly to expand our sect's influence, but it also conveniently severed your control over her using Kun Kang as a barrier. When our sect faced unprecedented blows and needed her support, she happened to enter Kun Kang to avoid fighting. It's clear evidence. The Lord pondered for a long time. Sorted out, when did she become disobedient? Around the start of spring 2 years ago. 2 years ago, around the awakening of insects, the Lord muttered. The awakening of insects, everything takes shape, dead yet taking shape. Could it truly be that life arises at death's end? Her first strand of life taking shape is actually the consciousness that's been erased, returning anew. The old voice was shocked. You mean she truly comprehended the death rule and has already reached the third realm of taking shape? This is the end of the cultivation world. People can't even reach the enlightenment realm primordial spirit, let alone the third realization, rule enlightenment. She can't even touch the surface of the rules. How could she truly comprehend the rules? The Lord shook his head and said, however, the great Tao is profound. The starting point is also the end point. If the foundation is perfect, it's possible to bloom the profundity of the rules at the starting stage and thus break through the set rules of cultivation. These words were so profound that the old man in the darkness had only a partial understanding. He gently exhaled, changing the subject. Lord, our sex global scheme has suffered an unprecedented defeat. The search for the three-character bone book will become more difficult. For now, perhaps we can only. No matter how difficult it is, we cannot stop, the Lord interrupted directly. Lord, this piece of bone book might not even be in this world. Otherwise, after all these years of searching, there should be some clues. No, the bone book, I have seen it with my own eyes. It must be in this world, the Lord said. The global scheme of the nine-headed snake has been destroyed. Manpower is insufficient. There's no need to cover everything. Focus all efforts on one area. Please instruct, Lord, the old man rejoiced. This was exactly what he wanted. The Lord was single-mindedly determined to find the three-character bone book. He didn't hesitate to spend decades of effort establishing the nine-headed snake, infiltrating their influence globally. The ultimate goal was always singular, to find the three-character bone book. Now the global structure of the nine-headed snake has collapsed with the release of the global member list. Manpower is insufficient. It really can't lay out global plans. It's like cooking without rice. Now the Lord shifts focus, targeting a single point. This allows him, the chief planner, to carry on. The Lord said, focus on the remnants scattered across the lands, especially the remnants after Emperor Kun. In the past, Emperor Kun wielded the three-character bone book to sacrifice himself for the Tao, severing the world's connections. What a supernatural task that was. Anyone from that era couldn't possibly not know. As long as they become remnants, they might know the whereabouts of the three-character bone book. It is even possible that this piece of three-character bone book is hidden in some blood coffin. The chief planner took the order. Emerged in darkness, he looked up at a 45-degree angle to the sky. Though the target is clear, where are the leads? Remnants? How many remnants are there in this world? Who is a remnant? 1,000,000 years ago, spanning several dimensions of civilization. The blood coffin can be as large as a mountain or as small as a speck of dust. The blood coffin seals the world's life force, fundamentally undetectable. Finding a remnant, especially one who knows something about the three-character bone book, is 10,000 times harder than finding a needle in a haystack. The nine-headed snake has laid out plans worldwide for hundreds of years, employing all sorts of elite people and using various means, yet couldn't find it. Now, with only a few left, how can they continue searching? However, he wouldn't dare to give up because he knows all of the Lord's thoughts revolve around these four words: three-character bone book. The entire framework of the nine-headed snake was destroyed, decades of effort burning away. He wasn't hurt. Tens of thousands of people killed in hiding. He wasn't concerned. But if he dared to say to give up this mission, the Lord would erase him within moments. Suddenly, with a swoosh, a figure appeared behind the Lord. It was the special envoy who had just gone out to deliver orders. Reporting to the Lord, Gu, she has escaped.